everyone to the Smite 2 Founders Series Knockout LAN. We are in groups. We are still in Group A. It's Gormizer. It's inbound. And we are marching forward to what I think is going to be an absolute spectacle of a matchup. Borscht versus Mockingbird is what's coming up next. If you're Borscht, you win this. You're 2-0, and you're pretty much set, right? It guarantees everything that you need to be. If you're Borscht and you lose this and it's 1-1, then suddenly Mockingbird are 1-1. And then if you're 5Ms, you're thumbs up because you're feeling great. You're pretty much set, and maybe already set. There's a lot going on. Let's just take a look at the standings and the schedule because this match will determine a whole lot here for both Borscht, Mockingbird, and Malvinas. Malvinas, no matter what, they have to win tomorrow's matchup. If this is a loss for Mockingbird, then that means a win tomorrow morning is what gets you into Vegas. If it's a win for Mockingbird, then a win for Malvinas specifically means that you have a three-way tie, and we have tiebreakers, and then it's a whole different conversation. And I believe we'd have to play those on Sunday to figure things out. Of course, no matter what, with the 2-0 right now in the case of the standings for Team Name But with 5Ms, they still have their eyes on first, so they want to make sure they win out. For Borscht, you'd like to confirm yourselves as soon as possible.
Yeah, and seeding is important in the group also. You want to get that bye week, or you want to get that bye for Vegas.
Yeah.
So, of course, playing for that win. But this is the set we're on. We're going to be watching Borscht and Mockingbird. And this is, I think, probably going to be the closest game in this entire group. I think from what we've seen so far, 5Ms have looked dominant. Excited for them to play tomorrow against Borscht. But, like, Mockingbird had a very positive game 1 versus Team with 5Ms yesterday. The game 2, though, not too much. It was a very big blow. But that's kind of what Team with 5Ms do. They just have these games where everything's going well, and they just kind of run through you, and there's nothing you really can do. And if you think about, like, Scream and Mike, even Benny to some regards, Cherry, those players just kind of do that sometimes, where if they get hot, there's just nothing you can do to really stop them. But Borscht and Mockingbird, they have very high highs, but they also have lows that kind of go a little bit lower than you'd expect from a team with names like they have. This Mockingbird team, they have a lot of names that most people recognize. I think like the EU SEC guys will 100% recognize them, and they've got a lot of weight in like the rank scenes. And Borscht, everybody knows most of the Borscht roster. I think this team is probably the wild card. I'd assume both of these teams have a lot of highs, but Borscht, I mean, are these just not a bunch of like coin flip players of like this could be the best player any day, or like what are they doing?
Yeah, and realistically, and you know, I think we talked a lot specifically about Rat Milk because he's one of those guys that like when he shows up, it is just different for this team.
Beautiful. To
the point where that's the difference between Borscht and being completely unstoppable, and Borscht and, you know, just being Borscht, right? Being a second, third seed team, which isn't necessarily that bad. It got you here,
it's
right?
Still good.
It's just, and then all you have to do is win on the right days, and that's how you win a tournament. And I know a lot of these guys have been in that position before. It's just trying to make sure that you lock that down. The other thing about this is not, and, you know, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but, like, this isn't the first iteration of Borscht.
No.
They went through like 5 before they landed on this. Bringing in Jake, having Pagon go over to carry, like that duo lane is really big. Fine OK back over to solo. And Baskin now in mid. Like there's a lot of little shuffles, but it all feels right.
Yeah, I mean, Rat Milk Zealand's kind of stayed in the same spot.
He's just chilling.
And there's for good reasons. We've said it 100 times. Rat Milk has times where he's just the best player in the game. And I think you're 100% right. This is the iteration of Borscht where it's like, Fine OK's back in solo. Pagon can kind of do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Like, Pagon and Jake in duo is like it's just crazy what happens over there because they're fighting at level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're going for buffs. They're really taking any fight. And if I told you that Jake was the less aggressive player in a duo lane, you'd probably call me insane, but he really is. Pagon is the one that dictates like every fight over there. He's jumping in at level 2 as on her, and he will look to push his lead however he can.
That was actually something, you know, throw it back, I guess literally just a year ago, right, when we were talking about the Oni Warriors, and specifically those two players. Yeah. Maybe it was a different role for Pagon, but like the idea was still there where even going into it, we were just like, these guys just kind of click buttons better than everybody else, and that's what we know. And then it turns out they also shot call pretty damn good too, and it turns out that is great. And then you add in Baskin, who most people will say is a top 5 at minimum, they'll say top 5 Smite player all time. So realistically, you add things like that, like you said, with Rat Milk and FineOK both being able to pop off in the roles. It just feels like this team has a little bit of magic going to it. Kind of curious how they're feeling, though, right now. So the best way to find out is to go to Jake, who's standing by, I believe, in the booth for an interview.
We're in here. That's a heck of a way to start. My name's Dolson, and
my name's Jake.
And this is Dolson
and Jake interview.
Nice way to start it off, Jake. Borscht. Have you ever had it?
Nope.
Do you know what it is?
It's a Russian soup.
And that's all you know about it?
Yeah, PCAT came up with it, and
he came up with the soup itself or the team name?
I mean the team name. Like I don't know. He was just feeling it. Like I kind of wanted to be like the ferocious like kittens. I thought that would have been pretty cool.
Well, that would work with your jerseys.
Yeah.
All right, I got to give the people a little bit of what they want, which is some hard-hitting Smite analysis. You guys have started off great this tournament. 1-0 start for you. 2 wins almost certainly gets you onto Vegas. Are you feeling a little extra pressure to grab that second win today?
I mean, we were just feeling the pressure yesterday. Like the passion was just flowing through me after we won that first game. And now we're just kind of cruising. The job's done. I feel like we're probably gonna be in Vegas. So, you know, we gotta get a first seed though. Like we need that. We can't be playing on Sunday. That's the Lord's Day. That's a day of rest.
That's true. And if you win this one, if my brain remembers, you'd play team with 5Ms tomorrow for confirmed first seed.
Yep.
I heard some groans from the team in here when you said job's done. Are you a little bit worried at their lack of confidence?
I mean, I bring the passion, so I'll be bringing that, and like they'll bring the job getting done. The boom. Oh yeah, 5 big booms.
I'm not going to make you do it, but all right, we're going to send it back, and when we do boom, we're going to go back to the desk. You ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, boom!
You know the gif of the I love you, but you are not serious, people. That's all I can think.
I just think of like that interview is all over the place. They hit the booms, and then this is Dolson and Jake.
Yeah, like they're about to do like the buddy cop, like lean back to back. I could see. I want the spinoff show. It's gonna be a Dave and Jake, kind of like Property Brothers. We don't know what they're gonna be doing yet, but like they're gonna have like the little lower third that shows up in the middle of the game. Yeah,
I didn't follow that one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm losing inbound, which means I'm probably losing you. Jake lost a little bit for us. It was a nice little sandwich, though. There was some nugget of truth in there, which for him is that at least for him, he considers the job to be done, right? Which is they kind of expect that they're going to win this one. They feel confident, or he feels confident. The groans that apparently filled the rest of the room maybe means that everybody else wants to actually get the second win first before they say that the job's done.
Can't blame them.
Yeah, usually that is how that works, so we'll see how it goes for them, because the team they're going up against is Mockingbird on the other side. Of course, again, a lot of names you should recognize because these guys have been a pretty dominant force in EMEA. Very interesting paths in EMEA for a lot of these teams. The fact that Giovanni Giorgio is not here, same thing goes for Cowabunga and NA, is what has empowered, I think, these two teams very specifically, where you had these squads that, you know, for Cowabunga was for the longest time this idea of same as Team Risk, where they were like, wow, this might be like one of the best teams, if not the best team
for sure in
Smite 2. The same thing was going for Team Risk in the other region, and then, you know, some losses that happen in playoffs when they just can't be afforded give Mockingbird and Borscht their opportunity here. But Mockingbird have been much more interesting to me because this was a team that when I saw it in the open bracket, I remember kind of writing them off. Like I was like, yeah, okay, I've seen these guys play. We're looking at a 5th to 7th place
like
team.
A solid team.
Yeah, like you're going to be really good, and in an open bracket, and then 16-team bracket, and then another 16-team bracket. You're going to do just fine, but I didn't expect to see them here, right, at 3-4 months ago. And then when they started playing in Swiss and started everything else, they just stepped up every single time, and it blew me out of the water, proved me wrong, which I love when that happens. And I'm sure that they're feeling maybe not just the confidence, but hopefully invigorated as they go into this, and we'll find out as we go to Calvin for an interview.
We'll see just how confident Mockingbird are feeling. Dolson's down here with Calvin now. Calvin, I was just talking to Jake. Rest of the team over there on the other side, a little, you know, maybe lackadaisical this morning, but Jake specifically said he is going to bring the passion to the duo lane. What does that make you feel, knowing that your lane opponent is bringing the passion here this morning?
Well, like compared to yesterday, I think we are like a bit more ready. The thing is, like, if we compare EU to NA rank, or even like competition-wise, EU is more passionate than the NA. So we're gonna show it in the server today, even in the dual lane. Sorry.
What's the takeaway? Match yesterday, you go home, you regroup as a team. What are some changes you want to see in the squad today to grab a win?
All right. So to be honest, it's like I want to compare us like full globe for drive. We are like the EU team. We're gonna play against only NA teams, so we like add lack of data on stream, obviously. But we know like what they're gonna play most likely, and we prepare like some good draft against them.
I'm looking around the team booth here. Don't worry, Jordan, you don't have to pan to anyone or Spud. Who do you think the most locked-in player on Mockingbird is right now in the pre-game lobby?
Me.
Ooh, Calvin, you think it's you? Yeah. So does that mean you're going to bring enough passion to counter Awesome Jake's passion?
Yes. It's a support thing, you know. Support is like support in-game and support like hi-rez, you know.
Do you consider yourself sort of the team support sitting here in this team booth? The mental and what you're saying to the boys before the game is just as important as what you're doing in the game?
I'm trying to, but we got Messi over there, so, you know, it may be more passionate than me, but we're going to do the best, you know.
What are the keys to victory today? Who needs to step up on this squad to find a win against Borscht?
I think if you saw the last game yesterday, I think probably Eric's going to be the one that's going to step up the most. The whole team is laughing, but like, obviously, everyone has to step up, yeah, like everyone. I mean, most likely HyperX, but like everyone's gonna show up today.
What kind of final thoughts here? 4 teams in the group, 3 able to make it out. Not a must-win set, but do you feel the importance starts to dial up a little bit the further into the weekend you go?
No, we're chilling, been chilling.
Understood. I did big booms with Jake. I don't know if this squad knows the big booms in the same way they do. So I'm just going to say thank you for your time. Best of luck.
Thank you, Dustin.
And we'll head back to the desk to get this one started.
Maybe he could have introduced the big booms to the team.
It's not hard.
Yeah, realistically, you got to bring to bring the culture over, right? That's part of the international games, is to make sure that you can share the culture. No, the thing I get out of that, and you know, not only did Jake say, but Calvin saying that he's going to bring the passion, both in-game and out of game for his team and be the uplifter for him.
Yeah, and I think Calvin is the perfect player to interview, because I think when this team puts it all together and they look like a great team and they play against the teams very well, a lot of it comes through Calvin. I think Calvin had a great game yesterday, even though they did lose. Calvin played phenomenal. I liked his Ymir. I liked the plays he was going for. They did, you know, kind of get beat pretty bad game two, but in game one, a lot of the plays are made through Calvin. And I think if Calvin and Spud can at least manage the duo lane, not fall super far behind, and then get to those late game team fights, Calvin's shot calls, at least I assume he's the main shot caller, Calvin's shot calls are really good, and I think Spud is a phenomenal hyper carry to have, because I think HyperX plays late game very well. I think Hawk is one of the better positioners in terms of it feels very hard to kill him in the late game, and I just like how they team fight. I think this is a team that we could see a lot from him in this set.
And realistically, I feel like they were a team that they had a good idea of draft yesterday.
Yes, for sure.
It's just you were against 5Ms, right? Like nobody so far in this group has looked good against them. So realistically, can you really fault them? We'll see how well they perform against Borscht. We jump to picks and bans. Game number 1, Borscht and Mockingbird. Borscht. What did he say? The Furious Kittens? What was the
Furious Kittens.
Yeah, alternative?
Or Ferocious.
Ferocious Kittens. You're right. You got a very
Not
different.
Furious.
The alternative title for Borscht. They're gonna ban out the Sobek up front. I'm sorry if I'm being completely honest. My brain stalled because I remember that Dave asked if Panda Cat came up with the dish itself.
Yeah, Jake says, I don't know.
Yeah, Jake. There was a moment where he was like uncertain. Promise Borscht has been around for a very, very long time. The team, good name. And, of course, good ban with the Morgan on the other side. And it's Baron Samedi, which has been a deadly, deadly threat when Final K gets in.
100%. Like, there's nothing else to say beyond Baron in the hands of Final K is just incredibly deadly. I think this God is insane, but the way that Final K handles it, I think he plays it in its best role. I think it's very difficult to play against. Borscht taking that Baron first pick allows Jing Wei to be picked by Mockingbird, and I like when Spud gets Jing Wei. It allows him to hyper carry the games. They had the issue yesterday against Cyclone Spin on this tanky CERN style build, but I don't think any of it comes back to Spud's Jing being the issue. I think it was the dive that they have, and instead of a Shock jungler and Ama jungle, they get this Loki to allow them to dive late game. I think Mockingbird doing their P's and B's in the hotel room, they improved them a lot.
Well, I will admit personally, Baron, well, personally I will admit to not having been big on the Baron for a little while because he just kept losing a lot of the games that I was watching. You have to give credit where credit's due, and that Borscht play I'm like nobody else. Yamoja and Poseidon on this squad, to me, means this is a very, very powerful top 3. Mockingbird, Loki, Ymir, and the Zeus at the very end, which admittedly, yesterday we saw Tagfear play in the carry role, but this is going to lock in mid, and you were already talking about how Hawk, with his positioning, is pretty hard to kill. It might be the added benefit, an extra passive to the Zeus.
Yeah, I mean, Zeus, you can build that one defense item too, and then Hawk positions, I think, very, very well. On top of this character just having a ton of movement speed, it's going to be very difficult for them to be able to kill him. And Borscht going a Thanatos, which is Rat Milk.
Yeah,
Rat
he's
Milk
the only
is
one.
Nobody else will play this character, but Rat Milk will play it, and he'll make it look like the best jungler in the game. So I like that pick, and they're getting this Cernino's last pick, which is, this is the god we've seen opposite of Jing Wei, I think. As long as we see that Axe tankier style Cernino's build, I think it's just as good as Jing Wei. And then the last pick, Amaterasu. Mockingbird with this Amaterasu, it allows so much objective damage now. I really like how they've kind of crafted this comp. They have not great early fight, but they have phenomenal objective damage and they have phenomenal team fight. I just wanted to see them keep in mind with those objectives. Maybe go for a 5-minute one. We've seen Food Drive for Globe do it a ton, but other teams can do it too. You have Zeus, you have Ymir. Jing Wei's one damage is a lot too.
Zeus, Ymir, Ama for like, if I've never seen a more, hey, let's take Gold Fury at 5 minutes, let's take Fire Giant the second it spawns in comp than this. You just drop everything you have right there.
Yeah, I want to see it. Let's go for these early objectives.
Well, we'll find out. The farm game, that's kind of been on the question mark. Borscht, solid draft. Mockingbird, solid draft. Who will take game 1? Let's find out with the casters.
Well, if it's anything to go off of, Awesome Jake feeling just fine going into game number 1. Mockingbird, there's some good vibes in their team booth as well. My name's Dolson. Hopefully you like me because I'm here again. You had me to start off the day. You got me on your second set of the day. This time, though, I'm with Trelly and, of course, Doug working the camera for us. Do a little bit of a do-si-do. Why not start off game number 1? We're on the flip side here. Borscht are going to go between the tier 1 and the tier 2.
Surely someone was spotted. Oh, they're going to run into each other. Come on.
Come on!
They've got 5 Barons brews.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
Borscht has the
Here we go. Eye to eye.
Oh, Calvin.
Calvin.
Oh, Calvin's done.
Forward rooted and come on! You gotta be kidding me! No shot! Did he miss an auto? Did Rat Milk miss an auto? Come on!
I thought
that's the worst! The worst!
Loki, there we go.
Went back in! Yeah! Get him! Rat Milk finally gets first blood!
We're not done!
And Duduin left running to the hills as well. Could be another. I don't know what he's leveled, but doesn't have enough damage.
Yeah,
should have been 2. Should have been 2.
Should have been 2.
Or still get 1.
Could have been 2. Wasn't. Look at all the blink timers. 200 seconds on every single blink there from Borscht. And they all chucked their Baron's Brew at Calvin. If one more hit, we had 2 kills there. But you give first blood to Rat Milk. And on Smite, too long didn't watch, Dave. I said that Rat Milk is the most likely jungler to just run away with a game in the whole tournament, every group, because he goes to
high praise.
It is high praise, but it's just because he goes gods like Thanatos that are so snowball. Like, no one else is going to Thanatos that consistently. And now we've given him first blood before minions spawn. That is a scary, scary thought here for Mockingbird, because one thing Rat Milk does with his lead, he's not just going to take it and sit on his laurels and wait. He's going to go over to duo. He's going to go over to solo lane, and he's going to try and turn that 1 kill into 4 before even Gold Fury even spawns in.
Admittedly, I'm not sure what a laurel is. I've just been using that phrase.
I always thought it was like the big part of your heal. I don't know.
It could be. Rat Milk's not resting on him, whatever it is. He's over in mid, but Baskin's still level 1. HyperX has rotated through and handed a kill over to his mid laner. Rat Milk not out, not alive, and HyperX another. Mockingbird 2v2 in mid, and how about it? Rat Milk inches away from another kill again. And instead, we're equalized after the first blood for Borscht.
Yeah, I can't believe Baskin was still level 1. I didn't get to see the start, but Baskin must have been held out to dry there. All you have to do is get a back camp and then a wave and 1 minion, and you're level 2. That is it. And he was still level 1 there, whereas Hawk ended up hitting level 3. So I'm guessing Baskin just got snubbed at a buffer 2, was sitting in lane, and ended up getting HyperX from behind. So now you've given 2 kills over to Mockingbird. Really does just even up the game, but like I said, Ratmilk's a jungler that wants to try and snowball, and that was immediately put a stop to. Thin margins, but no kill happens, and now you got a Loki that's been able to match that farm pretty easily.
Well, here we go again. Ratmilk over to solo this time. Plenty of damage, 1 more auto, and that is simple for Ratmilk on the Thanatos. Got to cleanse the palate a bit after the mid lane skirmish that went sideways for Borscht just a few moments ago. That'll be a kill over onto Dudu and the Amaterasu. Fanoke in an interview yesterday talked about the Baron a little bit. A couple of these players, we saw Cherio, the Hades is what Cherio really clings on to. Feels like this Baron for Fino has been a cornerstone pick when he's been able to get it.
Yeah, it is a pick that he has earned the right to talk about for sure. I mean, he looked disgusting in the qualifier for this LAN on the Baron, and he got it consistently. It was one of those games where everyone's like, yeah, Fino looked good, but maybe it was, Jake on this, or Fino looked good, but maybe it was Ratmilk on this. And then by the end of the set, everyone's like, no, it was Fino on Baron the whole time. We probably should have been dealing with that, but he's able to get it here. Not a terrible matchup into Ama, but Baskin, man, you can't step out of your lane for a second in mid lane. Like, there is going to be a ton of damage coming from Hawk. And HyperX has that blink up in about 28 seconds. No assassinate, but look at Baskin's relic. He's got blink, and it's not up for 20 seconds. This Poseidon is a sitting duck if he's not underneath that Phoenix, or that tower.
Hawk gets ultimate a little bit before Baskin, so small opportunity. HyperX is in behind Baskin here as well.
Wow.
Goodness, it's an easy one for HyperX. Baskin just backpedaled a bit too far. Borscht, we're talking about passion and excitement. They had it for that first blood, but it's all flowed through Ratmilk. Rest of Mockingbird have been able to stand up and answer well. I mean, again, this group is going to be so interesting depending on the outcome of this set. 5 M's in with a 2-0 going into tomorrow. Borscht could match them, and that would essentially lock in those 2 teams and leave a real interesting match between Mockingbird and Malvinas on Sunday, or on Saturday rather, if that's how things break down. So a lot to look at here in this group, but Mockingbird showing up to play early here. 2-level deficit for Ratmilk, but thinking maybe he's got enough health and damage to take this fight. HyperX still no ultimate for 40 seconds, so plenty of cooldown left to go. Baron's Brew tossed. Oh, and he blinks out of the Kraken. That should be enough to save his life, but
There's no one.
Are we still going on this chase here? Baskin maybe able to send out Whirlpool. Yeah, slow him down, just get that 1 tick. Another Baron's Brew flies, but Borscht left empty-handed. And I was going to ask Trelly, maybe this is a good time. Ratmilk continuously looking for ganks, essentially only looking for ganks.
Yep.
Does that leave you open to just falling behind and farm?
That's exactly what it does, Dave. I mean, if Ratmilk went to a back camp or a wave at any point there, look, level 5, boom. Could have chased him down easily and found that blink, and then the Kraken could have set up, but I guess he just felt like, hey, I know your ult's down, I'm going to chase you down with Baskin's help. We have an easy kill, but the blink and the juke shoes, and just being 2 levels ahead, was able to net a little bit too much. I still think the big issue in this game is going to be Hawk on this Zeus. You got a level 8 from this mid laner at the moment, 1-0-1. I'm curious how the start goes, because that Valor's Eye could be interesting. There's a lot of pen items that you could build into. It looks like Doom Orb is going to be the option, so just a little bit of extra movement speed from this pickup. Zeus has taken some nerfs in the past, like the Chain Lightning was doing a little bit too much, but when you have a lead like this, it's really not going to matter. You're going to have plenty of damage. And Hawk has been bullying Baskin out of lane pretty much every step of the way.
Up goes the River's Rebuke, but Calvin answers with a wall of his own. Fun interaction between the 2 supports, but Calvin's the one in danger. Yeah, there's a shell, but what does it matter when Awesome Jake's got the last bit of damage? And a 2v2 in duo goes the way of the CERN and the Yemoja. It's the downfall every once in a while of the Emir. You get caught just in sort of an awkward position. Very, very difficult to get away. Maybe tilts a little bit of a lead over to the left side of the map and gives Pagon and Jake some breathing room here in duo.
And that's the thing, though. Everyone wants to get Sunder for the early pressure, but you find yourself in the center of a River's Rebuke, you're going to have some troubles, right? I mean,
Yep.
Calvin is not very safe on the Shamir until Xerxes Hexstone gets picked up. That's the support item that everyone on these immobile Guardians has been trying to pick up because it gives you that extra level of movement, gives you some CC. Ratmilk running into HyperX in the jungle. This is a 1v1 Ratmilk probably doesn't want to take, looking at the level deficit. And Loki CC and damage is just so easy to hit. But look at the full rotation. Even Hawk is at this speed, but Ratmilk might have to ult out here if the rest of the team shows up. Not going to get it. Invaded, and now you're sitting at level 5. This is tough for a Thanatos.
I hesitate to look too far into Awesome Jake builds. I am so used to seeing Glad Shield on soul laners and soul laners only. Is this uncommon?
No, this is unfortunately the world we live in, Dave. Are
you kidding me? I don't cast for 2 weeks, and now Glad Shield is just support.
Look at Fino. The first item for Fino as well.
I guess you're right.
It's just ability damage, and so Jake, the way he likes to play, pretty much every emoja, is you just spam bubbles, right? You don't heal your team, you don't Riptide, you spam bubbles. And Glad Shield is one of those items that it's going to give you tank stats early on, but it's also just going to give you increased damage on your abilities that you're spamming.
Never a bad thing.
Yep, and Calvin is feeling the hurt of it, and he's probably going to go right into beads next up. That's usually the flow here. And then once you do that, you're pretty much, you got your Fizz D, your Magic D, and you're still doing good damage.
Well, we'll see what Jake can get done with that damage around this Gold Fury. Mockingbird started up. Kraken on one side, Lightning Storm on the other. Could be awkward moments around the Gold Furies whenever one team feels far enough ahead to pull it. Baskin, I will note, I mean, he was, what, 2-3 levels down, has evened up that gold a little bit. I am still concerned about Ratmilk and that level deficit. 2 levels solidly, maybe a half level as he just makes his way to level 7. So a lot of this has got to be on HyperX and
yep,
where this Loki can apply that pressure. Because it was early and often, Trillian, as we've approached the 8, 9, 10-minute mark, feels like both junglers have taken a deep breath and maybe want to get some farm for themselves without all the fight.
Have you gotten to witness the beauty that is Sunbeam Boom Amistar? Taduin is going to be
I sure haven't, Trilly. I'll tell you what.
Taduin's going to be having a great time over there because this item has just become a mainstay on most auto-attack junglers or solo laners, and Fino is definitely feeling that damage, has to blink out. Essentially, it just gives you extra auto attacks on the side of your auto attacks.
Oh, that's great.
And they're ranged, so you're going to see some archer bows coming out of Taduin's autos, and where everyone's using it is on these objectives, right? It just gives you increased DPS towards anything that's close to you, really, and you're going to start to see it fly through whenever he procs it. It drains your mana, so he's not going to use it all the time, but it's definitely being used on Fino whenever he can. There it is.
Forward to get the silence, and this is why HyperX is in. Insta-cancel on the ultimate, but whoa, Ratmilk! He's over on right as well. Where's the Hovering Death go? Up, down, onto Taduin, but Ratmilk hasn't had the damage yet. 1-for-1 trade
into the tower!
Ratmilk on the scythe steps forward and drops HyperX. Ratmilk has been 2 or 3 levels down. Now equalizes with 4 kills in game 1.
Wow. I mean, first of all, Taduin did so much damage there to Final K to even get that kill, but because he tanks so much, gives the kill over to Ratmilk, and now you've given Thanatos cooldown reset. But HyperX stepped into the tower to try and body block. I think that was the real reason that scythe was hit, because Ratmilk only has one item here, the Pendulum Blade or the Avatar's Prishnu. They both are going to be... I can't see because the cooldowns there. I'm trying to... It's one or the other. One gives cooldown reset, one gives you big strength. I'm sorry. But
Jake?
It's going to give you that extra level. Jake already took the detonate, and
he's good. He's up.
Luckily is out of trouble for now. But that just goes to show how much Hawk's doing, man. Look, he already has the full Divine Ruin as well. So much farm has been funneled into this Zeus.
You know what I feel like sometimes where, like, the Smite 2, it changes so quickly, new gods, item builds change. It's like the kid in first grade who still had to, like, chisel 1 + 1 = 2 on a stone tablet.
Yep.
By the time he was graduating college, they got to use typewriters, you know, and now suddenly there are laptops. I don't think that's actually the case for anyone. I think there was probably some paper somewhere in between all of that, but that's how it feels sometimes. I was chiseling my equations just a few weeks ago, and now suddenly we're in the world of the internet with these builds. It's the excitement of Smite 2. Mockingbird and Borscht close to on top of that world. Very close game here, game number 1. Mockingbird the ones that are slightly ahead. You'd call Borscht probably the favorites, but Mockingbird through all the qualifiers have shown us some of the history that they have together as a team. Something to watch out for as well. Curious about the dynamic around this Gold Fury though, Traley. I imagine we're going to start looking towards that objective maybe after a fight, but how do you play around the Kraken? How do you play around the Lightning Storm as mid-lane options as far as team fights and objective secure goes?
I mean, at the moment, Baskin doesn't have that much movement speed, so it's going to be hard for him to run you down. Like, usually Doomorb and Gem of Focus are picked up, but has the Sands, has Book of Thoth. So he's just trying to stack up. I don't think Baskin's going to be the biggest threat until he gets that Book of Thoth online, but Hawk is ready to go, man. Doomorb into Divine Ruin, like I said. One good wall from Calvin could be the play. Xerxes Hexstone to catch out Calvin, but he just barely makes it out of the river.
Swing and a miss from Baskin. What can Hawk get done? Plenty! Though it's Ratmilk with the opening kill. The jungler's going an eye for an eye in mid. Support's in on the fight as well. Everyone except the solos and ADCs fighting around mid lane. It's Jake and Calvin who both fall, so it's a relatively even fight over in mid, and it's a lot of what you had just talked about in some of the engagements. Baskin just couldn't catch up to drop that Kraken, and it felt like Hawk able to get in range. Ratmilk starting to become a big problem though here, Trelly, as down as he was in levels and gold early in the game. Feels like the Thanatos is caught back up, and a bounty on his back as well if someone on Mockingbird can finally lock down the Thana.
Yeah, would be nice, but so far Ratmilk's been able to hold on to that hovering death just in case to get out of trouble. Gold Fury not been looked at for either squad.
Does that surprise you?
I mean, you just have so much damage if you're Mockingbird, but you're going to need to do it over there, right? Like, you need the Amaterasu. Braggy's Heart. Oh, here we go. Maybe we have an attempt at a pull, or just a wall onto Jake. There could be some vision here. Calvin stepping forward. No Xerxes Hexstone available for either of the supports, and my goodness, Pagon forces the airstrike out of Spud. And look at this, now Calvin's in trouble.
The Kraken hits this time for Baskin, a rotate out from Fine OK. Grabs him a kill around the Fury. Pagon, dashes in, blinks out. In and out he goes, and up and down goes Ratmilk. How about a rampage for the Thanatos? Hawk, the squishy mid laner, has to get beneath the tower. Baskin, another. Borscht starting to run away with this fight. Though HyperX with a bit of a second wind. Looks like able to step on out. Thanks to that stealth. Man, that is a bad fight for Mockingbird. Yeah, you get a kill on a Baskin, but you've lost your mid to left side of the map. Maybe do and get something done.
Coming in from the back. HyperX is still here, but does not have the ultimate. I think you just try and outburst you at the site. It's going to be close.
Oh, did he dash in time? He's in to do it. Dashes in. Whoa! And the ultimate's good on the flip side as well. But it's not that good. I got excited for no reason. Double kill for Pagon. Oh, looks like Ratmilk did end up getting shut down. That's what I saw, that delete. I was getting excited. And then, sad, right after the fact. It's a steal, though, for Mockingbird, though, Trelly. I guess Duduin felt like the moment was big enough, got to dash in, make something happen. And a couple of kills. I mean, Mockingbird not feeling too bad after what was a really unfortunate fight just a few moments before. I
mean, Duduin wasn't very tanky when he started that engagement. He just picked up that Pharaoh's Curse in the third spot, so now he might have been able to live through that a bit longer. You got Pyromancer started up. Baskin has to know this is going on. He can see the lightning striking over the wall, but he's not able to get there in time. And the Lightning Storm used to confirm it. So now 2 objectives in favor of Mockingbird. And again, what a play by Duduin. He's much tankier now than he just was. So that definitely helps out the survivability. I kind of set up as well. I was like, okay, hold up. We might see Duduin go crazy here, but he really built a lot of attack speed early on into the build, and now he's more so working on those tank stats. And luckily, Ratmilk didn't make me a liar. He just built Pendulum Blade in the second slot, so double active items for Ratmilk on this Thanatos. Just trying to get those cooldown resets and absolutely pop off in the fight. I do think... Oh, hold on. We got Jake again. Xerxes Hexstone in and finds the Riptide. Can they chase him down?
Gotta be a stun, a pull, all the damage. Overkill maybe from Baskin. But the damage from the Kraken helps out in the fight. But Ratmilk with hovering death may end up getting his second. Couple ultimates used, couple ultimates maybe not needed. Doesn't matter. Borscht able to get themselves a couple kills. That's left Pagon alone, though, over in duo lane.
They're doing fire.
But he stands
also.
And he fights, and wow, he's got enough damage. Is the detonate from Calvin enough? Sure is. Spud flips a kill back, but all this time, Borscht picking up that FG. HyperX, a rotation around the backside of this fight. That's put up a River's Rebuke. I think all but seals this for Borscht. Sure does. Ratmilk confirms the FG. Ultimately, a couple kills and a Fire Giant for the life of Pagon. Like the call here from Borscht.
Yeah, and I think Pagon probably made the right call. I think there was a chance he could have tried to run away and just stall, but eventually he would have fallen down there. So just take the 1v1 as best of your ability, even with Calvin there. It was pretty close, but this CERN cannot do it all by himself. And you trade your life for 4 on FG. I think that's a trade Pagon's going to take every single time. But what does Mockingbird do in the meantime? Do they decide and just defend here? I think this lead is not insurmountable by any means. Like, sure, the Fire Giant hurts, but we're pretty much 800 gold behind at this point if you're Mockingbird. So it's not as if you can't try and fight back. HyperX is still a threat on this Loki. You've got anti-heal online. Pen is picked up from Hawk. That Obsidian Shard definitely would help out. But I've got my eyes on the cooldown of Awesome Jake. When River's Rebuke comes up, Jake has been using that board to get in close, drop the ultimate, and just set up for his team. And there's only one Phantom Shell available, and that's on Spud. So if the Jingwei is not there or ready, Jake's going to get immense value. Look at Jake just out-trading Spud at this point.
That Glad Shield.
That's Glad Shield and just good placements. The slow into the stun, into an auto, and then reset. Jake, I mean, he likes this god for a reason.
Got to get used to watching supports turn into boars and join the fight. I mean, it's just a cool, unique ability. Up, down goes Ratmilk right into the crack, and what a fight from Borscht, too. All at once, it pours in. And Mockingbird drowned out from the left side of the jungle. Couple ultimates still left to go. It's the River's Rebuke. One more, and this one goes to Jake. Set up the final kill, deserves to have it. Right around the time this Fury respawns, HyperX, middle of everyone, drops some damage, but that's smart. Didn't get rooted in place. Now is gonna get rooted in place. Goes back in with the assassinate and a killing spree for Ratmilk. Has all but sealed what could be a Fury pull here in a moment.
Yeah, I thought Loki was just going to go through the door or ult over the wall. Looked like HyperX really wanted to try and find a kill there, but I mean, you're 2v4 at best. The grouping was there, even though Baskin was pushing left. I just can't imagine a world where you assassinate in, but maybe Mockingbird fears that this snowball's getting a little bit too big.
Oh, yeah.
Phoenix on the left side, a good wall from Calvin can stall, but it looks like this is going to drop down here.
What am I talking about? Fury, they got a Phoenix that they're working on. Does Borscht? Whoa, mountain of damage finds its way into doing, and the Kraken finishes off the kill. Are we suddenly walking ourselves towards something worse for Mockingbird? Nope.
A lot of tier ones up.
Yeah, you're right. There are a lot of towers still on the map. Mid and solo untouched in damage, and that'll send Borscht on back. But man, losing a Phoenix over on left, tough. For that next FG, it's that early Phoenix, the best Phoenix, as we've often talked about over the years. Borscht now firmly in the driver's seat after a very contentious first 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think that if Borscht was feeling themselves a bit more, they may have tried to go in for an end call there, but they decided to slow it down. They understand there's a lot on the line here, and making sure their record is as pristine as possible is also on their mind. A Runic Bomb would be nice, a Gold Fury would be nicer. Might as well go on back to base. There's some big power spikes that could come through as well. I mean, Ratmilk's 10-2. You know, I didn't hike him up as this guy that could run away with the game for any reason in particular besides the fact that he likes to get these last hits, and he's darn good at it, right? This Thanatos has so much big burst, and this build is an interesting way to go about it where, if I didn't get the kill with the first time, I got a second one, and just try and get as many cooldown resets as possible. I wouldn't be surprised if it's part of the game plan. Let Ratmilk get the kills, right? Give him as much farm as possible because he's not just camping one lane. He really does make his presence known across the entirety of the map. I don't think we've gotten to see too much from Spud because of that reason. Like, this Jingwei has been a part of 2 kills total, and it's just been kind of AFK on that side of the map trying to farm up. It's not a bad thing, right? Like, you want your carry to rotate in once the farm's online, but now HyperX, you're going to have to put on a little bit of a wild goose chase here, but Ratmilk can smell you. There's one.
Smells him, and he smells good, I guess. HyperX blinks away, but a stench leaving a trail in the jungle. Easy for
Jake got him.
Follow. River's Rebuke seals the fate of HyperX. Fire Giant falls off, but not back in respawn yet. But some of those all-important towers that Borscht has needed to knock down that maybe delayed a game-ending call a few moments ago now start to work. Now starting to be worked on.
This is genius. My goodness. Okay, so you can't sell Baron's Brew. So if you see Final K's got a Chalice and Baron's Brew, he can't ward. But he picked up Eye of Providence, the active item that lets you place wards with a different key. And now he can place wards with double Chalice. That is so big brain. I've never thought of that. But now we see a little bit of a scrap here. Lightning Storm from the back.
What can Mockingbird get done? Gotta have this fight, but Ratmilk still stands, and he delivers. But does he, Hawk, with the shutdown? He was standing all on his own, was Ratmilk. That's a pretty big shutdown as well. Good news is, for Borscht, didn't already have Fire Giants. There's no Fire Giant push to delay. Maybe Final K can pull back in a target. Man, he is tanky. None of his damage really sticking other than half of his health bar. Back go Borscht to the tier 2 tower on right. 30 seconds though without Rat Milk. Not gonna get these types of opportunities often if you're Mockingbird.
You sure wouldn't. If you're Mockingbird, you may decide to try and chase to your HyperX is looking towards it, and Viz at the moment. Doesn't quite have Assassinate up though. And that's your get out of jail free card. No blink for 140 seconds as well, so playing this one slow. Mockingbird might just pull this though, Dave. They've got Rat Milk on for 8 seconds. They've got the Doin here and a Sunbeam bow. Why not try and go for it?
Maybe here's your game. If you're Mockingbird, you get this, you're right back in it, you lose it, it might be over. And Hawk has gotten the FG, a good call from Mockingbird, but now you need to get out alive. Borscht has the chase. They don't have the FG. But wow, Mockingbird, okay, good. I was gonna say, you gotta get yourselves on out of here. They had a slight pause, but the rest of Mockingbird will leave. And so Trelly, how impactful now that Rat Milk death was. Not only a shutdown, but that long death timer at this point in the game opened the door to Mockingbird finding an FG. Are they fully back in the game? No. As a matter of fact, they're still getting their Phoenix sieged as they're in a 5v4. Good wall. Could set up for a big moment here. Still under threat of losing this game. Kraken sends a bit of damage out, but Calvin able to polymorph, dash away. Dazzling offensive. That's through from Doin here. Whoa, who is that? That's Jake. He's low. Calvin's lower, though. Is a hovering death going to get used? Sure is. Up, down. Hello, Rat Milk. And goodbye, Calvin. But a blink back forward. Rat Milk wants more, and Doin wags his finger. And this Phoenix Siege may need to be left.
But HyperX's back goes in with the Assassinate and getting low. Final K gets shut down, and they want more, Dave. They've got the chase down potential, and they have movement speed from Badu and Baskin. Definitely the next on the chop and block, and Spud takes that one, no problem.
These death timers are pretty long, Trelly. What can Mockingbird get done on the other side of this fight? Pagon so low. Gotta figure you're going for a Phoenix here if you're Mockingbird. Open up that Borscht base.
Calvin's up soon to defend the base. There's a lot of fire minions that were pouring in through the left side of the map. They've got a tier 2, and they have the wave here. This could be disastrous, Dave. This wave may be enough for them to end the game. Rat Milk is up in 20. It's up to Pagon to try and stall.
Mockingbird, we're 6,000 gold down. Is all of this going to stem from Rat Milk dying 3 minutes ago? Mockingbird may look for the end here. It's Pagon alone. He'll have Rat Milk in 5. The health bar on the Titan's gonna tell the story, and the story is over. Mockingbird, in one fight, have flipped the game, and they have taken it from Borscht, 23-13 in kills. And Mockingbird take the game. That is an unreal turnaround, Trelly. Does it all stem from that one Rat Milk death? Turns into an FG, turns into a team fight, it turns into a win. I mean,
I'll give you that was one of the throws, but I think the worst one was when he blinked in onto Doin there under the Phoenix, right?
Yeah, right, like that second death.
Yeah, he went in for the execute, picks up Calvin, left Phoenix is already dying while the fire minions are there, so they could have just chilled and sort of played it slow, but immediately, while still tanking Phoenix, blinks into Doin and says, I'm trying to get 2. If I get this another kill, I get my reset, I get a little bit of healing, and then I can chain that together. Doesn't get the kill, ends up dying, and then you look up and you're like, wait, Baskin's 1 HP. They have Ama. Jake's dead. Okay, now Pagon's the only one that can make it out, and he couldn't defend the Titan by himself. And also, stroke of luck that that wave was already pushed up to tier 2. Or maybe they just cleared the wave, right? I mean, they had to have. Because if that wave wasn't there, they definitely stall a little bit longer so that Rat Milk can spawn in. And then maybe you do just go for Phoenix and then back up. And we could be talking about a different game. But everything went right for Mockingbird there in the end, and they were able to punish it.
I'm sure if you're asking Jake, boom or doom right now, he's feeling like a doom in game number 1. Mockingbird turned this one around out of nowhere. The drama in game 1, an early couple of kills for Mockingbird, and then a complete overhaul and overtake from Borscht, and then a couple of tumbles after that, and somehow Mockingbird able to pull out the win. These two teams, they got something to say for us here on this fine Friday, a Smite 2 action. Can't wait to see what Game 2 has in store. Stick around to find out.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Smite 2 Founders Series Knockout LAN. My name is Gormizer. Over there is Inbound. And in a second, we're going to be talking about that game and Mockingbird, I guess, considering they ended up finding themselves the win. But before that, you know how over the weekend I keep saying, oh, I got to talk to like X, Y, or Z, I mentioned a player, things like that, or Trelly had an interview with this guy and this happened, or we were talking about this on Smite Too Long Didn't Watch, and you're sitting there just going, well, what is this guy talking about? What are these things? I've got good news for you. All of those are either video segments or sometimes live streamed that you can just go find at youtube.com/SmitePro. It's got all sorts of stuff. Smite Too Long Didn't Watch. You've got game shows. You've got interviews. You've got This Week in Smite 2, which is a clip show in the event that you didn't know that. Where Trelly promises to comment stuff and reply to comments, but I don't know if he ever does. So you should go probably to the most recent one of those and call him out for it in the comments of that section. And this isn't just engagement bait. I lied to you. It totally is. Go do it. But you make sure you subscribe, right? If you like Smite Pro, it's just literally more Smite Pro content that you can have in your life. So youtube.com/SmitePro. Make sure that you go subscribe and leave nice comments on things, because mean comments are mean. For now, we'll have nice comments on the win. I mean, realistically, if you watched, I mean, where do you want to cut it? 9/10 of that game?
Maybe even more, to be honest.
It was a Borscht game. And if you left, like if you had, 2 minutes left on the clock, we're just like, you know what? This game's over. You stood up. You went to get a drink. Man, when you came back, you must have been confused as hell.
I mean, it was literally all Borscht. Up until 2 minutes, Borscht was dominating, and then it's just...
Yeah, look at the slash lines, by the way.
Yeah, Radmilk's 12 and 4.
Who won this game?
And even looking at the gold, like Calvin is at 11,800 gold. He's down 2,000 gold to Jake. This was an all Borscht game. But, I mean, if you don't close the game out fast enough and then you throw just once in the late game, there is a very easy way to like end the game rather quickly. The Titan in current Smite 2 is not the tankiest Titan we've ever seen, the tankiest iteration. Phoenix is, while pretty tanky, you can pretty easily shred through them when you have a 6-item Zeus or a 5-item Jingwei. Actually, he only had 4 items. But there is a big issue that you see with this Borscht team, and it pops up rarely. It's a very rare thing, and it's dominant early, dominant mid, dominant late game. But that one ending fight, Ratmilk goes a little too deep, Pegon goes a little too deep, Baskin goes a little bit too deep, and then they just throw the game, and that entire game that they worked through is just gone, and it's just, in a snap, it just disappears. And props to Mockingbird, getting that fight win, and then calling, I don't know if it was right away the end, or if they just wanted to see how much they could do, but just calling to go down through middle, getting that tower, getting that Phoenix, and then going for that end. It takes a little bit to just kind of make that call. While there's a lot of things we could say about Mockingbird's early and mid-game, I think Calvin didn't do too well. I think even Herox, who I think was the lone somewhat bright spot, I would say, maybe to do in with a couple of those Ama plays, played pretty well. It was all Borscht for like every part of the game. As you said, 9/10 of the game, you're probably thinking Borscht is winning.
I like what you said, because it probably is realistically a little more than that. It might be like 97%, 98% of the game. And it just comes down to one team fight, and that's something, you know, you had mentioned, like, it happens very rarely, but it's so interesting because the one thing that we praise Borscht for is this aggression that, you know, early game, it affords them a lot. Their fights are really good. You had even mentioned it, how the duo lane, like Jake, it surprisingly found the only person more aggressive than him to be in a lane with, and yet that's the downfall as well, is that one step of that line. It's very, very thin, and it's easy to step over, where it turns from aggression to, I guess, over-aggression, an over-exertion, an overextension, whatever you want to call it. And unfortunately, they stepped over that line, and that's where we end up. Mockingbird up 1-0 now, and they will be first pick as we get into picks and bans for Game 2. And so maybe even their cuckoo kind of confused. They're like, wait, how'd we get here? The question is, what do you do to adapt to it? Obviously, the Thanatos is a threat, but I don't think you can ban that guy. So instead, they go for the Emoja.
You're right. Rat Milk Thanatos is scary. I think banning the Yemoja, though, I think is really smart. On the opposite side, I'm with you with that. Ooh, Jingwei ban against Spud. Spud's only played Jingwei so far. He played a lot of Jingwei also through the tournament. I think this is a good throwaway ban. He's comfortable on that character, and she's hard to kill late game. Mockingbird locking in this Baron first pick, taken away from Fine OK.
I'm also really interested. I mentioned this to Trelly earlier, and I kind of want to hear your thoughts on it. But like right now, we've been seeing Kernanos and Jingwei, and admittedly, I will say we saw a Danza earlier. So like there's a Cupid. So like some others have shown up, but like it's been those two. I was really wondering if you thought like, is this a good strat? Not just because a shot against Spud, but like now you've got the guy, right? You've got the Kernanos. They have to pick somebody else.
I mean, you're not wrong. I think the one positive with banning Jingwei, or positive for Mockingbird, Jingwei gets banned, you lock in the CERN. I think Cupid is an awesome pick into CERN still.
Okay.
And if you don't pick the Cupid till 4th, 5th pick, I mean,
yeah, you're
Hawk,
not really hurt.
Yeah, exactly. Hecate you get for Hawk, Loki on HyperX, who I think some positives, some negatives, I think on the Loki, but I still really like him on this Loki. It could be this Jingwei ban comes back to bite them. I think if they play around this Cupid, not a great matchup, I guess, into Thanatos, but I like him into Sobek. I like him into CERN. Solid pick into Poseidon. Does Spud play Cupid, though? Brand new character, 2 CA7. Maybe hasn't got a ton of time on it. Really has only played Jinx. We don't know what he's going to be playing, but he is hovering the Cupid.
And you know what? This is one of my favorite things, especially when we get to LAN. You want to go back to playoffs. I mentioned it because CA7 is what they're playing on this weekend. And so you had access to the balance changes in playoffs, but I think most of the gods that were fresh were still banned because they were fresh. They were brand new. So you didn't really get to spend a lot of time. And one of my favorite things when you get quote-unquote new gods, right, on LAN, and slowly you start to see, much like you said, well, we come into this and it's like Gene Kern, but you think Cupid has a decent matchup into Kern. Suddenly he's available in this LAN. Like, that's when you start to march forward. But now, okay, there we go. Maybe a couple of changes.
Which one's weirder?
I was going to say that I got, I think, a little bit more confused as we logged in. I'll go through the things that make sense to me. Sobek, Kernanos, Thanatos, Poseidon, locked in, thumbs up. Anubis?
I think we're going to be getting Anubis mid, right? Poseidon has popped up. Fine OK plays a lot of Poseidon.
Yeah, he did play him solo yesterday, didn't he?
Baskin is a funky player in terms of the character that he plays. He doesn't really play like the Hecate. He doesn't really play a ton of Zeus. He plays Poseidon. He plays Morrigan. But after the nerfs, is Anubis better in mid than he is in solo?
I guess we're going to find out. The only way to see it is right here. And Mockingbird have a chance to do something interesting. Let's see what happens in Game 2 as we go down to the casters.
I'm mad because I was talking about me wanting to be the first one to say it here this weekend, but you beat me to it, Trelly.
I didn't mean to. I can assure you that.
Well, now it's not going to be as exciting. Maybe if the moment calls for it, you'll get one from me as well. At any rate, Mockingbird, after a magical Game 1 win, Trelly, now matched up against Borscht once again. There were some changes happening in picks and bans there, and admittedly, it doesn't get less confusing for me. Borscht are going to put Poseidon in Fine OK's hands over in Soul Lane. I mean, is this sort of adjacent, kind of cousins to putting a Baron over in Soul Lane? You build it the same. I mean, what's Fine OK's thought process here with this pick?
No, the build is night and day different. Just
okay,
I'm
glad I tried.
No. I just because I've seen Fine OK do it. Like, he goes full attack speed on Poseidon solo, and it's not like that's a newer, interesting concept if we're coming from Smite 1 era, but Smite 2, we have not seen Poseidon play in the solo lane much at all. He's starting to get played there. Fine OK got a first blood before the minions even spawned just by like leveling the trident and blinking on someone yesterday. So I'm gonna be paying attention. I don't think anyone's gonna be getting too close to him for the time being. But he has blink, he's got chalice and some multi-pods, so he's not very tanky. But at the very least, he is going to be building tanky and auto attack based. Just trying to proxy the wave here. Spud's going to get some decent damage onto Pagon. It looks like they want to try and invade purple buff though, but HyperX doesn't want to expend the blink. So no invade will be coming through. They're just going to proxy that wave and possibly go on back for their own buffs, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Just trying to confirm your own farm. I think, if anything, Borscht should be the ones that are a bit nervous here, right? Because they had a commanding presence in game number 1 for such a long time. And then they kind of threw 2 big misplays back to black. And now you've got Mockingbird up 1-0 that could easily take this game. And then think about the standings of this group if that were to happen, right? I mean, it would be ridiculous. So they could just kind of chill and play smart. And it's all about Borscht to try and, you know, lock in here.
Yeah, the drama, depending on the outcome, I mean, it's there either way, right? If Borscht are able to pull out this set, then you're looking at Borscht versus 5Ms fighting for first seed and therefore not having to play on Sunday. If Mockingbird and therefore Mockingbird lose, that means the Mockingbird matchup against Malvinas tomorrow suddenly becomes a win and in, lose and go home type game. On the flip side, though, if Mockingbird win, we got some opportunities for ties, depending on how games tomorrow go. Certainly a lot to play for here. Calvin plucked backwards, but some damage waiting right around the corner. Dash and blink in from Pagon, but last couple of autos missing. Time to take stock of those relics. Calvin uses his. Jake and Pagon both use theirs. No, Jake maybe a few moments ago. Yet we all stand. Everyone can take a deep breath over in duo, but it's Jake and Pagon. Be feeling slightly more aggressive in the early portions of this game. Ratmilk loves to play early and fast, and Duduin has already used his jump, and wouldn't you guess it, it's the Thanatos in for first blood.
Man, I saw how much aggression was coming through from Duo and thought that maybe we see the first blood, but Ratmilk is always going to be the one that gets that first blood when he's given the opportunity. Good blink, and of course, didn't have the brutalize when you're in the whirlpool from Fine OK. And that's a tough matchup as well. I'm not sure if Duduin felt confident just going into a Poseidon, or maybe was hoping the Poseidon wasn't in solo, but you're not going to be able to brutalize the wave. You have to go just full-on auto attack mode in this matchup. And considering now that Duduin has fallen behind and he started asunder, okay, should have a little bit of freedom here over on the right side of the map. Maybe Ratmilk doesn't come over here too often, though. I mean, it is still very annoying to try and gank a Fenrir once level 5 comes around, but HyperX did teleport over to Duo. Is Jake going to go for a pluck is the question.
What is going to hit? Jake dashes away. So it's now on cooldown. HyperX. That assassinate. Missing a lot of that individual lockdown that the Loki will have eventually. A couple important factors here for Borscht. I mean, you were looking great for a win after the early game. But remember, I mean, the level deficit early got ugly, balanced out after a little bit of time. Ratmilk fell behind on farm, but was doing great on kills. Ratmilk now ahead with just that one kill, but changing the script a little bit. I'm not sure who knew who was where. Stealth back into the bush goes HyperX. This is an invade from Borscht, but not answered back by much pressure. A 3v3 over on left, and a little bit of farm here stolen away from Borscht. So the idea is consistent. Pluck back onto Calvin, right into a polymorph from Pagon. Need to hit those autos, and the body blocks from Ratmilk hand deliver a kill to his ADC. And that is simple enough. Couple invades, a nice pluck. I think Mockingbird couldn't quite figure out what to do with that moment.
Man, and that's the thing. Pagon getting level 5 there is also such a big deal because he had the ultimate just to lock down Calvin off the pluck from Awesome Jake. You can't use any abilities. You can't spam your heal. You're just kind of a sitting duck as long as the damage comes through. And Borscht has been pretty consistent. They're not overstepping. They know where they can play their invades. And, of course, HyperX on this Loki was sitting at level 3 at the time, so it wasn't even as if he could really fight back. Like, this Loki cannot try and fight into a Thanatos until Assassinate comes about, which HyperX is not that close to getting even now because the speed buff's been invaded. All the farm on the left side of the map has been taken away. HyperX is pretty much a solo lane gamer for the time being, and remember, that's where First Blood happened, over onto Duduin, so it doesn't look good to try and scrap anytime soon. We're more leaning towards late game and maybe defending Gold Furies. It's not the end of the world, but you definitely need to get level 5 before HyperX can look anywhere, really.
I've been slow from this Loki. Ratmilk now with level 5, hovering death. Turned around that mid game for Ratmilk. Gotta play safe though if you're Mockingbird, knowing exactly what's out there on the map. And it's so difficult, right? I mean, it's hard. You say, well, you know Ratmilk is going to be aggressive. You know he's going to run you down. He's going to gank you all the time. Doesn't necessarily make it easier. It just means you're on alert a little bit more often. So Hawk, duo lane, solo lane, they're all on notice. But mid lane largely been left alone. That's given Baskin just that one level lead Anubis sort of been in and out of some of these drafts, Trelly, in the first few months of Smite 2 competitive that we've seen. Certainly a little bit more mobile and ability to dish out some damage.
And I'd just like to say that, despite me telling you that the builds aren't similar, Final K did pretty much start the way he started Baron. He did go into the Glad Shield, so far.
I was feeling real bad about myself for a moment there.
Well, you shouldn't, because, wait, are they doing gold? No, they were thinking about it. Okay, Ratmilk's nearby. He was definitely considering going up, but dual lane stuck under the tower. Not going to see it. And I like the attempt from Hawk just to send out, open the gates, and see if he can pull the beads from Baskin, but gets the Death Gaze instead. Ult for ult over in solo. And Final K loses the blink, so Relic for Relic, ult for ult. Not going to be the end of the world, but the Duan actually got the better end of that trade, so.
Because he's in the...
I'm not going to say
after the hot mic before the game. Can't be saying bone zone the moment we get into it. In game number 1.
Yeah, I'm walking on eggshells.
Yeah,
here.
you are. You gotta watch it. Borscht, they're watching where Mockingbird are on the map, and they like what they see for a quick, fast, early Gold Fury pull. Wow, Calvin was really the last line of defense here, and Mockingbird not even going to bother. I mean, HyperX and they're pretty locked in over to the right side of the map. Mockingbird had an opportunity from mid and maybe Calvin to jump in, try to steal it away. Doesn't happen. And that is a quiet 2,500 gold lead that Borscht have built up here, Trelly. So it's without all the pomp and circumstance and kills and stacking up damage that Ratmilk was doing in game 1. So far, that could still happen. A couple of kills and great farm has pulled a big lead over Mockingbird.
And that's the thing, like Mockingbird cannot confirm any of their own buffs at the moment. The purple, the speed, pretty much everything on the left side of the map is just getting eaten up the second it spawns in. I mean, Borscht is on every single respawn timer, and it's pretty much just been blue buff. Like, that is the only thing that belongs to Mockingbird for the time being. This could be good, though. Open the gates, use all while Awesome Jake is getting scrapped on as well. Can you find anything here? I think they might be turning this. Ratmilk's coming back in.
Hawk takes the teleport forward. Out goes HyperX. We have not seen, unless my memory is failing me, I've not seen an aggressive assassinate in the last couple of minutes that HyperX has had that ultimate. That may have even been the first one we've seen. So out again goes the Loki. And what I thought was bubbling up to be a couple separate fights over on the left side of the map end up not resulting in much here. So a bit of a slower game here, Trelly, though. I think you maybe hinted that could be the case with the way some of those builds have gone. Obviously, if you're Borscht, you're comfortable with a 3.1k gold lead at the 8.5 minute mark. That feels just fine. Our Mockingbird in their composition, though, feeling like the portion of the game they needed to go well is now past, or are they still in an okay spot given how their team is built?
I mean, it's all right. I think that, again, the Loki is far from online, but HyperX is building Transcendence. He's trying to stack up. He's more so playing for late game. Hawk, same way. This Akate is not one of those mages that just comes out of the gate swinging, whereas Baskin, I mean, Anubis is ready to kill him just about now. Here comes a little bit of a scrap. Remember, Hawk already Aegis needs to get away from the Death Gaze, but does HyperX have the damage here?
Slowly but surely, I guess. Baskin, all the healing might just be enough. Back in goes HyperX in the last auto, gets it done. Hawk was there just as an insurance policy, but ever lurking is Ratmilk. Has hovering death, but looks like just high enough in that health percentage as HyperX to get away from the mark. So Mockingbird, first kill of the game at 9.5 minutes. Yes, slight uptick, doesn't make all the difference in the world, but needed to see something from the Loki. You're right, stacking up, taking a little while to build here, but still want to have an impact on the map. Then it was a slight lead starting to build for Baskin. So anything that can give Hawk a little breathing room over in mid, gonna feel just fine. Been a bit of a slower pace, though, from Ratmilk. I mean, it's gonna be hard to match what you did in game 1, but haven't quite seen that incessant gank mentality that we did see in the first game.
Man, Jake teleported over here just to be at red buff on time. HyperX doing backs, thinks he's going to show up to a red buff and it's already going to be gone. Might as well wait for blue as well because it just touched down here. So the Duan, unfortunately, is going to have to say goodbye to all sort of farm on the right side of the map as well. We already talked about Duo. Okay, there's a silver lining, though. Hawk went to speed, so HyperX gets his first speed buff, really, of the game, besides that first initial one.
Nice.
Which can certainly start to add up. This is, if you want anyone on the side of Mockingbird to not fall behind, I think it's the Loki, and not because HyperX is just the most influential player on the squad, but because he's so easy to shut down picks like Thanatos, like Anubis. If you're able to stealth into the backline with enough DPS, you can just take them out of the fight before they even get a chance to pop off. And Loki is the exact pick that can make a play like that. Stacking Transcendence, again, it's got to be a while before HyperX has the damage to do it on his own, but giving him his speed is a good start.
Not only not behind, but ever so slightly ahead, as HyperX was level 10 to the 9 of Rat Milk. So certainly not behind. Not much of a lead, though, to speak of. Next Fury has respawned. Remember, Borscht pretty quickly and cleanly grabbed the first one in this game. Not, you know, super stacked as far as insta-confirm ultimates go. Awesome Jake could have one of them with lurking in the waters, but he's got to use it defensively here. This could make a Fury call all that easy. If you're Mockingbird, back in goes Jake, and down he goes. Calvin, though, is going to flip-flop on a quick ult from Rat Milk. But there's a Ragnarok chasing down one. Pagon tried to dash away. Everyone's health bars on Borscht melting away. And the world's most awkward team fight continues. Final K has chased down Spud underneath the tower. We end up at a 2-for-2 in the left side jungle, and truly maybe neither team feeling comfortable enough with the Fury, with those health bars. But could still be a chase down here from HyperX. You've got Pagon dead to rights. Then it's Hawk, the one signing the bill.
I feel like Pagon didn't have to stick around there. Wanted some free farm. Definitely couldn't find it. Duin doesn't quite have ultimate backup, so no real way to get active here. If anything, he's just trying to keep the tier 1 tower alive. Definitely a big swing for Mockingbird. It certainly isn't going to end up that goal deficit just yet, but it will help, right? Getting some of those shutdowns, making sure to get some kills onto Hawk. 2-0-2. Not a bad stat line for the Hecate either. And again, that all stems from some over-aggression from Awesome Jake. You've got Gladstone, you've got Xerxes Hexstone, but you don't really have to be going for plucks when your whole team is not squatted up yet, right? If there was follow-up there, you probably don't get punished as hard. And I do believe Final K was on point with rotating over immediately. But Gold Fury is the real target. That's what you guys are looking for. So maybe going for the pluck when the whole squad's ready to pull in for the objective is the right play. But you can't ask Jake to not play aggressive. That's the way the man has played ever since we've seen him.
Yep. Impossible to do. Many have tried. You know what? Jake, I mean, he has chilled a little bit, right? I would say that I'm thinking, when was it Renegades maybe in Season 7 when Jake first started playing and it was just chaos all the time? He's reined it in a little bit, but it's only a little bit. Awesome Jake loves to step forward. Sobek now having to dash out, as a matter of fact. Rat Milk sends Hovering Death towards the back line of Mockingbird. I think maybe had a chance for a stun, but HyperX quick on the ultimate in the blink to get out alive. Thin margins here over what could be a really impactful Gold Fury. A lot of the ones we've seen today have kind of just been afterthoughts, maybe a steal here or there, but the gold lead so big, doesn't really matter. Very important one for Mockingbird here to follow up on a great win in Game 1 when it looked like things were just going to continue really to snowball out of control, sneak away a win. Now you stood up against Borscht, who do have a lead, but far from impressive. What can Duduin get done over in mid? It's Awesome Jake, who still does not have ultimate. So should be a quick one here for Mockingbird, and Duduin makes that Ragnarok work. Whoa, the rotation of damage from Rat Milk is enough to set up a kill for Basket. There's a Kraken on the other end as well, but Duduin left to leap away. Cleanse, Aegis, all of it out from Hawk. That's a 2-for-1 trade over on left. Not enough, though, to immediately go for the Fury.
Great start, though. I mean, I do like that they're doing rotate over and just kind of watch. It looked like Pagon was the target there. And remember, Pagon has Blink, so if the jump connected, would have had to force it out and it wasn't available, but Ragnarok would have came through onto the CERN, but instead just picked up Awesome Jake, going to be the secondary prize that they were after. We still have to worry about Rat Milk coming in. You still have to worry about HyperX popping up, all of which fall. But look at this. Borscht group up for the Pyromancer. Only Hawk is nearby. Does have some decent damage. Actually gets the beads out of Final K. And the Pyro's not done, but Duduin is here. Can he find a pickup? Ragnarok's almost off cooldown.
Seen a couple of steals in this set already. Can Mockingbird get it done? No, it's Pyromancer for Awesome Jake and the rest of Borscht. But is there a chase down to be had? Hexstone provides an escape route for Jake. Caught out a couple of times on this Sobek. Duduin just brutalized towards the camps. You're in the Lion's Den. You got to save something to get out. But how about this? Mockingbird have pulled over Borscht to the right side of the map. That has left this Gold Fury uncontested. Got to get it quickly because there could be a fight. Oh, it gets leashed and dropped by Mockingbird. Calvin, half HP. What happened here? A hovering death is about to meet its mark, and it could be Calvin who pays, and it is. Duduin and Ratmilk go 1 for 1, but there's just more health from the Thanatos. A double kill. Put some gas in the tank, but it's answered by HyperX. Mockingbird still have something to say in this fight. Baskin melted, and junglers going 2 for 2 with one another, but Pagon still stands. HyperX still could be the difference maker alongside Hawk, and only 1 alive per team. A 4 for 4 trade. Is anyone gonna get the D inside? That's the question. Hawk's got the damage. FineOK left running. Need those cooldowns back. Gets the chase.
Got hold an 8. He can chase
Dodges
him.
out the knock aside. Hawk just needs a bit more. Not going to be a deicide now as Awesome Jake is respawned in a 4 for 4. End up making the difference over on right. And about as close of a team fight as you can get here at the 17-minute mark.
I can't blame him, man. I would have taken that portal too just to try and chase it down. If FineOK didn't have speed, we may have seen that brawl continue underneath the tier 1 tower. And you know what? I think trading like this, Dave, is still in favor of Mockingbird just because of how good the late game of Mockingbird looks. Again, I'm leaning a lot on HyperX here, but this Loki just becomes so effortless. You got to consider that FineOK is going to scale relatively well, but look at the beads on the side of Borscht, right? So far, they only have 1, and it's on FineOK, and then, of course, Baskin has 1 to his name, which means Duduin is going to get a lot of presence from it. Fire Giant has been started up so far. Doesn't seem like Mockingbird sniffs this out.
It looks like Borscht will get it cleanly. They sure do. First Fire Giant of the game. It's 17, almost 18 minutes for Borscht. That is not how I would have expected the first FG of this game to go. I mean, with the chaos in the jungles and the fights that we've been seeing, I figured there'd be some fireworks around the FG, but no, Borscht sneak that one away, and maybe Mockingbird not confident or not privy. Either way, the result's the same, and that's a Fire Giant for Borscht. But can it be answered now by Mockingbird? Put damage into this Gold Fury. Again, it gets leashed, though. They nearly finished it off a moment ago. Borscht just hanging out close by. This is just taking too long. Duduin leaps in. Ragnarok has not found anything. And there's damage from Baskin on the flip side. Here's Ratmilk at the front of the fight. Life of the party might just give the rest of the team an escape route. But Calvin lives. Whoa, where is HyperX gone? He's found Ratmilk in the back. A Kraken goes up, hits no one. It looks like Mockingbird are going to get out cleanly with just the 1 kill, but they're still Fire Giant. Sustaining up a bit as Borscht. Is a 5v4 enough for Mockingbird to contest this Gold Fury?
I mean, it's just tough because Spud has no damage. I can doubt that he's on damage, but Calvin thinks it. He wants the steal attempt. Can he get it?
Who gets it? It's Borscht to grab it, and it's Baskin with the confirm, but now Calvin, no mana, no health. Hands a kill right back. Mockingbird had the numbers advantage, but that's all by the wayside. A shutdown and a couple of kills for Borscht. Fire Giant, second Gold Fury of the game, in a bad last few minutes for Mockingbird.
Yeah, I mean, they just keep trying to go in for the objective, but again, look at this Cupid build. You have 2 items, just Hasten and Devos. You cannot shred through a Gold Fury relatively quick at all. And that's twice now that there was an attempt at Gold Fury. It gets down to about 2K. And then Borscht walks up, and they're like, hey, we got you, man. Like, it's not enough farm. I think Spud needs to stop rotating to these fights because he is getting further and further behind Pagon. Pagon's got Braggy's Harp and Kins and is working on another tier 2 item. And Spud hasn't went back to base in a while. Like, AFK, farm for as long as possible. Head over to solo if you need, but Cupid is the majority of your objective damage here, and he just doesn't have the build to back it up. Those plays would have went so much better if he was online. I mean, HyperX has been able to get in and get out. Duduin's been kind of putting Borscht on skates with the jukes, but it's not enough. It is not enough damage. They are missing that extra level of tank shred, which Cupid could provide if he had the itemization to back up. Just finish the Executioner, which will certainly help. Awesome Jake's nearby. He's loved this Xerxes Hexstone into the pluck. Trying to go for it here somewhere in mid, but who do you want? Maybe Calvin.
Extra safety with that that cleanse as well for Awesome Jake. So often you see a Sobek dash in and then you miss or you hit. Either way, feels like you're kind of caught out. So you can dash in, got a couple of options. It's a cool build from Jake. Really facilitates his play style. Fire Giant, only about a minute left now for Borscht, but they have knocked down a lot of this map that Mockingbird had been leaning on. You'd love to open up a Phoenix because one more fight goes your way and that win condition is just that much closer. So the tier 2 tower will get cleaned up by Borscht. And now a reset, we would assume, Trelly, before this next Fire Giant fight. And that gold lead was, what, 3 or 4K with that last FG. We have ballooned here for Borscht, 10,500 ahead. You wonder if Mockingbird are even going to feel confident to step forward with this next FG, or they're on full base defense mode. But you got to have memories of what happened in game 1. A slight overstay, a slight step out effectively sealed the game for Mockingbird in game 1. Kraken at the front of this team fight life of the party. Pulls in a couple, but it's Awesome Jake on the first. Hovering Death. Drops onto Duduin, who gets 2 stuns. Oh man, Borscht. They've been scattered to the wind here as Calvin walks forward once again. Does this look like a 10,000 gold lead for Borscht? I'm not thinking so. Duduin may end up dying, but no, he doesn't. A triple kill for Spud. Hello. We needed this Cupid to swing. And he swung for the fences. Mockingbird suddenly right back in this game. And Fire Giant Trelly, maybe a couple of minutes around this corner. But again, big death timers have opened up an opportunity for Mockingbird.
And that all starts from a good pluck from Awesome Jake, but Hawk gets an Aegis that just buys so much time. You could see the ultimate from Calvin as well. It didn't get the necessary stun, but it pulled back like 4 members of Borscht underneath the tower. And Spud getting all that gold is massive. Who did I say needs to get the itemization online? Unfortunately, Duduin got caught in the whirlpool underneath the tower at the last second, but giving all of that gold over to Cupid could not be more beneficial here for Mockingbird. They're going to have to defend a possible Fire Giant, though, without the Duduin. That would be worst-case scenario here. And Borscht, they're going to head over. And the fact that Spud hasn't backed yet, the fact that Spud hasn't backed yet tells me that they might not even defend. They might be just giving this one up because the Duduin got picked.
Man. Because game 1 came down to a couple impactful picks onto Rat Milk around the Fire Giant. Talk about death timers. 20 seconds for Duduin, yeah. Let's head on back to the Gold Fury. Spud and Calvin get this one done with the assistance of Hawk. So it'll be the second Fire Giant of the game for Borscht. Far from clean, though. You know, I mean, this is maybe Mockingbird Trelly saying that game 1, we won on some broken sieges from Borscht. Game 2, now suddenly the door is opened up a bit. Spud has got tons of gold, nearly 3K. Maybe this is a Mockingbird team that feel okay, just based on history about their chances underneath their towers and underneath their Phoenixes.
The defense has to be crisp here. And again, I think even if Duduin didn't die there, it would still not have been a free defense of that Fire Giant by any means. Like, it was a great fight. Oh, Jake's going to try and Hexstone pluck again. Gotta watch out if you're Hawk. No beads available. No beads from Calvin or Duduin as well. But playing off of this defense has been crisp, especially this Hecate. Like, open the gates have been on point. Even if you don't find the pullback in, the damage from Hawk has been pretty massive. Spud was able to go back to base and get a full Titan's Bane, so a lot of pen online. I said they were lacking that tank shred. They definitely have a good bit of it now.
Titan's Bane helps.
Yeah, it certainly does, but I mean, Final Case 4-0-4 has been playing a flawless game on this Poseidon so far. Isn't even that tanky, really. Just has the Glad Shield and then beads. Is now going into a little bit more, maybe a Spirit Robe in that last slot, but ended up just getting a bunch of shred online. Let's see if this defense goes crisp. But Tier 2's dropping fast.
It is. Whoa, and it's Mockingbird who are blinking in. What can Calvin find? Lurking in the water. It's Awesome Jake. A Ragnarok right on the flip side. That's hand-delivered a kill, but nobody has made good on it. Finally, Duduin cleans it up. And Spud with the difference maker. It's a tower, but in trade for 2 kills, HyperX has gone in alone. Nobody from Mockingbird there to answer the call. Cupid able to dish out a little bit more damage, but all this time, the hovering death from Rat Milk waiting around the corner. So that late kill onto HyperX. Ultimately the difference maker, but the tower did fall over in mid, so now 2 exposed Phoenixes for Mockingbird. Trelly, I mean, I'm not sure if Borscht are just unconcerned, happy with the way the fights have gone. Otherwise, really hyper-focused on the tower, but Spud has just been healthy and safe in these last couple of fights.
Yeah, he definitely locked in. And the thing is, if HyperX doesn't send that ultimate out, they probably could have chased down and killed someone like Baskin, who only had beads, but he jumped the gun, saw that it was the 4v3, and decided, I'm just going to go in, I've got a double ult. Could have just waited a bit longer, and the whole team might have been able to chase down. But still, some much-needed power spikes are still coming through. That has not changed. Spud needs some itemization. Hawk needs some itemization, and HyperX really would like to finish this build. I mean, Heartseeker is one of Loki's best items.
Yep.
We're not too close to finishing that one up, considering he just died and wasn't able to go back to base. The upgraded starters are a big deal, but you need a little bit more to be able to fight back in. Like that 10,000, 11,000 gold deficit has not gone anywhere. They've just been able to put up the numbers because they're slowly getting their builds online, and albeit Borscht is making some overcommits. This is a little bit awkward here. Can they kill Jake before the squad comes in?
Yeah, that's what matters. Can you get enough damage onto awesome Jake? Jake dashes away, but here comes the rest of Borscht. Life of the party immediately canceled by Fine, okay. Able to blink out of the rest of the fight. Damage through from Baskin. Gets a last tick onto HyperX. A pluck onto Calvin may seal up this fight. Borscht, they're 10K ahead. And now 5v3. They're still hovering. Death that connects onto Hawk. Out goes Rat Milk after the ultimate. Lands aground. Mockingbird have to stay alive. You've got Spud, you've got Hawk, and you've got a tank. It's really what you need to stand up. You gotta be able to get back to base. Awesome Jake may just be able to delay things over here on the left side of the map. 4 members of Borscht walk into the Titan room. Dudun gets the kill, but is it all for naught? Is it all too late? In go Borscht to the Titan, and Jake has done his job. Hello, game 3, and Borscht make good on their lead.
Man, trying to commit to awesome Jake, there was just a little bit too much. He had the Xerxes Hexstone, he was able to stall, and then so much was used on Fine, okay, who just blinked out as well. There was so much movement available for Borscht, and if I'm not mistaken, that brings us to our first game 3 of the tournament day. This is all 2-0s, and finally, we get a game that goes the distance off of Borscht overstepping in game number 1, but this game as well was still heavily into Borscht's favor.
Yep.
There was still some oversteps, and there was a lot of being able to punish there for Mockingbird, but I think if Borscht just tightens up a little bit of their misplays towards the Phoenix Siege, I mean, we could be talking about a much more dominant performance from them.
Yeah, and remember, I mean, there are opportunities for ties kind of regardless, whether it's a bunch of 2-1 teams, handful of 1-2 teams, could be a 3-0. I mean, there's still a lot to be played here. But the outcome that sort of simplifies a little bit is a Borscht win here. You get 2 teams almost confirmed in. That leaves a must-win matchup for Mockingbird and Malvinas tomorrow. I mean, that still could be. I mean, that is still the case for Malvinas, but how important is it for Mockingbird? I mean, this is really cool the way things could shake out here, and all of that, Trelly, behind now a game 3. Borscht probably. I mean, on the back of a win, you're always going to be feeling good.
Right.
But it's been a win and a loss. Still where you've had about a 10,000 plus gold lead in back-to-back games.
Right, and I think because it was so back and forth, Mockingbird definitely has to make some changes about their early game, because that's been pretty consistent where they are getting invaded. They are not being able to confirm their speed. Their purple duo has been falling so far behind. And when Spud is actually able to get itemized, their fights look clean. Like the Cupid look good. So try to put some more pressure over towards Spud. You've learned it twice now. You got to put it into practice in game 3.
There's fun games to watch, great games to cast. Cannot wait for game number 3. All important game number 3 coming up next.
My gold dance, your gold plated. You verse me, now that's a reach. We ready? Who ready? We ready? Who ready? Who? We ready? Who? Who ready? Who? We ready? Who ready? We ready, been ready. I waited, my turn, on God, held steady. I keep dropping back to back. I keep going if you let me. I've been sitting at the top, looking down at those who left me. Promise I'm not being petty. I'm the one they envy. Brody moving state to state, make $1 million out the semi. Plus I grinded from the start. I was stacking pennies. I might dip like Machiavelli. After the confetti, who ready? We ready? Who ready? We ready?
Welcome back, everyone, to the SMITE 2 Founder Series Knockout LAN. I forgot the Founder Series part, too. Remember the Knockout LAN part. And speaking of knockout, talk about a knockout game. We finally have a Game 3 on the horizon. But first, we got to break into what was Game 2 there. And realistically, when we talked about it, I want to say, well, I guess Game 1, we said, hey, it was kind of 95%, 97% one way. And then one big team fight, and that's what gives Mockingbird a win. This one did feel like it had a lot more back and forth, mainly because every time, if you looked up, if you weren't paying enough attention for fights, then realistically, whenever you looked up, one team was wiped. It felt like, or mostly wiped. And so it felt like fights were going a lot more back and forth throughout the entirety of this one.
Yeah, I mean, most of the game, I think, was pretty back and forth. I think a lot of the fights were going slightly more Borscht's way, as you see.
Yeah.
Final K 5-1. But, like, it ends up being actually pretty close. I think the late-game team fights, Mockingbird was more than holding their own. It wasn't like Borscht was dominating the entire early portion, and then one throw led to a Mockingbird win. This game was, as you said, slightly more Borscht, but Mockingbird was farming very efficiently, keeping themselves in this game, winning a fight here or there. That one final fight, it's just, you play the game till that point, the one fight decides it. Mockingbird does not play the fight nearly as well. Rat Milk is kind of able to pop off, kill HyperX before he's able to do anything. And that's like the, I don't want to say more boring side of it, because it's very exciting seeing the minimal things that decide the game. But you get to that final fight, you play it better, you win. That's what happened Game 1. Game 2, different story.
Yeah, realistically, and this is something that I think was interesting, is that, like you said, it is more Borscht heavy, still, right? Which,
yeah,
that's
sure.
that's not that different. But because of Game 1, Mockingbird cast that down, and then they had a good performance. It's just trying to seal the deal there at the very, very end there. And you can see some of the farming differences. One thing that absolutely blew my mind is Jake was that 1-6, and yet he was still up like 3,000 gold. And it's just like, that is absolutely insane. And admittedly, late game, especially when your team starts to get ahead, that's when those numbers can start to skew. But like, I think it just goes to show where some of the prominence was, despite maybe fights not going that way for at least Jake.
Yeah, and I think Jake and Final K are the two that highlighted in terms of, this game was another frontline diff. Last game was also, I think Jake outdid Calvin. I think Jake outdid Calvin again this game. But Poseidon is just a character where one fight where he lives and everyone dies, like that one fight which was 4 for 4. Final K is able to reset, come back out, power farm. He had almost 3,000, almost 4,000 gold more than Deduin. And Deduin had a very good Fenrir game, but these mages in solo lane, very hard to play against. They're very strong in those 1v1s, and then they just farm very efficiently. And Final K keeps going back to them. Not a ton of other players, like Benko's playing like the Amaterasu. We've seen a lot of Sobek. Final K does not care about that meta. He is going to Baron, he is going to Poseidon, and it's working well. You power farm so well, and it's team fighting very strong. I would almost hope that there's an answer for him in this lane, because the Fenrir almost got that one solo kill, but outside of that, it seems like these mage solos just feel stronger overall than like the Fenrirs and the Sobeks.
And realistically, something that actually, like you'd said, have been maybe surprising overall. So like the emergence, and we keep saying LAN meta, and so far I don't know if there's anything I would dictate as, hey, that's the LAN meta. Maybe we'll find out. In fact, now as we jump into bigs and bans, maybe Game 3 is where things shift up. And they will swap again. I believe we've been doing a little bit of a do-si-do up here. Borscht forced first pick this time. Almost said forced pick, which I guess works. But Mockingbird over there on the other side. We've also had interesting bans.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I want to talk about. Jing Wei. Where's this Jing Wei being decided? It was banned last game, and Spud had to play the Cupid instead, which I thought Cupid was a good matchup in a CERN. Spud didn't look uncomfortable, but I wasn't sold on his performance. I hope he goes back to that Jing Wei. And with these bans so far, Loki banned by Borscht, getting that out of HyperX's hands, and Yaboja banned again. Borscht with that Sobek available. Jake played really well on this game too. I'm glad that they go back to it, but it does leave open the Jing Wei. And they decide against the Jing Wei, and they go for the Cernanos.
I wonder, and a lot of that, I mean, we were even talking about it last time around, where it's like, cool, you ban the Jing Wei, you grab the CERN, you feel like you've got the 1-2 punch, and they just go, all right, bet. Like, obviously that god's the GOAT right now. Let's go ahead and just grab him, see what he does. It does mean for Borscht, you're not going to be under that much pressure, but they go for the Baron as well. not too uncommon to see Final K immediately say, all right, fine, Poseidon, but it is a good kind of lock away from Mockingbird.
I want Mockingbird to now play the Baron in solo lane against this Poseidon. Play it in solo lane against Poseidon. Like, yeah, there's going to be some flex potential. You don't have to completely sell it at this point. It's going to that lane. Just don't pick your support here. Lock in something like the Fenrir, I think HyperX can easily play. And then you just play your mage, maybe your Hecate, whatever Hawk thinks is going to be good here. It's a difficult mid lane pick to play into Poseidon. I mean, sorry, into Sobek. Sobek has a lot of strength. Picking this Chalk here. Gore, please tell me this is not Chalk jungle. Please tell me it's not Chalk jungle.
Well, I mean, if you want the especially now, if you want the Baron going into solo, Chalk's got to go somewhere else. Yeah. So maybe it's gonna be Chalk into the solo lane, and Baron's gonna be support. And
I'll take it.
We'll take it. Just a different jungler at the very bottom. I am kind of curious, speaking of junglers, you know, we talked a little bit, Loki's banned. Thanatos has been a Rat Milk special. Susano's in there. Chalk has unfortunately been in there. Nemesis has been on there. I was going to ask, like, what do you think that's a good matchup against Thana?
I think nothing really matches, like, great into Thana. I think you're mostly playing something like Fenrir to match early game. A lot of the junglers in the game currently don't play great early game. That's why you see some of this Chalk and Amas. This is very interesting. First thing to point out is Borscht doesn't go for Jing Wei, even though that's the other ADC available. They pick on her, which is something that we just don't see. Pairing it with that Anubis, almost the same style comp as last game, a lot of aggression everywhere. And then Odin last pick, kind of a coin flip between who's jungling and stuff like that.
I see the on her, and to me that means Pagon wants to fight. Like he literally is just like, all right, let's do this. He cracks his knuckles, jumps into the game.
On her it is.
The thing I'm curious about now, Baron, Chalk, and Odin. We've seen all of them solo. I've technically seen all of them support Chalk a lot less than the other two. So you can take some of that out there. But I've seen Chalk and Odin jungle as well. So is there one that you like a little bit more? In fact, instead of answering that...
Odin jungle.
Okay, he likes the Odin jungle. Let's find out if that's going to be what it is as we jump into game number 3 here with our casters.
First game 3 of the weekend. Why not? Borscht versus Mockingbird. Implications abound for this one. Oh, they updated my picture. Deep in thought, Trelly, was I.
Jordan just told the joke of the century for me.
What's that?
I don't know. I was like don't think I'm just laughing.
Oh, yeah. You laughing. I thought he literally came up to you and told you a joke.
I'm not going to lie, he did. It was just it was just something about, he said something along the lines of like, you guys seen this? And it's like been like something old, and we're like, yeah, and he's like, I haven't talked to you guys in a while, so I had to check in, and so we all started laughing.
Yeah, sounds about right. Well, you look good, Trelly. You look good.
Oh, well, I really appreciate that.
No problem. Borscht have looked good in back-to-back games, but only one of them, Mockingbird. I mean, they have gone face-to-face with this Thanatos. This will now be the 3rd game in a row. Rat Milk maybe even looked faster and better in game 1, but ultimately died a couple of times, and that's what opened up the doors for Mockingbird to clean up the win there. Odin out of the jungle. Minions. Chalk out of solo. It's a pretty potent combination, Trelly. The initiator frontline duo for Mockingbird. What kind of vibes are you getting from it? Are you laughing at it like you were in your picture? Are you more pensive and in thought like I was in mine? Somewhere in between?
I think somewhere in between. I mean, I do love Jake and Pagon on the full-on aggression, and that's what Sobek and Onher can definitely bring. I wonder if Jake has already leveled an ability, because if he does, you could definitely just have... Okay, he's holding it. I was going to say, he might try and pluck out if he needs to. Smart player, for sure. His 3 would do more damage.
I would mess this up.
Yeah, you got to level the pluck. Yeah, he panicked for sure. He's got Sunder trying to steal the buff away, but you got to put as much presence as you can into that early game, as we have seen time and time again. Fine, okay, blinking out. Once again, do not want to give him a first blood for free. But hey, Bobby does not have to watch the jungle, which is something that he was very adamant that he did not want to see. And he'll just have to deal with the, Chalk over in solo, which is...
The Oungle.
Yeah, the Odungle.
The Odungle.
is pretty solid.
Oh, good block. Calvin has blink, though. Got to get used to the just blinks abound. I'm thinking, all right, that's a kill. Nope, Jake gets the pluck. I'm certainly, if that's me in a moment where I'm holding onto my abilities and I got to see, maybe I level my pluck so I can get out alive. I fat finger, I get it wrong, and I die probably 9 times out of 10. So cooler heads prevail there for Awesome Jake. Sticks around. and able to stay alive. So on her plus Sobek, stack some of that CC on top of one another. Spud will dash away just fine. Actually, Pagon taking the worst of the duo of damage here. But I want to focus on this jungle matchup. We know what we're going to get from Ratmilk. The Odungle, though, we're not doing that. That was the last time I'm using it. Can HyperX hope to match the pace? Well, right now he's setting it. He's here on duo. Looks like Pagon has an escape or an initiation, depending on what he needs. Awesome Jake. He's going to fall for first blood here. Caster's Curse, Caster's Blessing, I'm not sure what it is, but it's HyperX in for first blood on the Odin jungle.
I mean, this is what I've been calling for every single game, is for HyperX to put some presence over to solo lane, play through Spud, right? Like, let this Cern get an early lead, make sure his purple buff, make sure the speed are not invaded. Finally, it happens. And turns out all it took was HyperX being on one of these more beefy junglers that you can play just a bit more aggressive with, right? Odin isn't going to be able to match the damage of something like a Loki, but he can go a bit tankier. He can set up for his team more. And honestly, I think that's what Mockingbird needed. They just need a little bit of space. Pagon, once again, taking a lot of damage. But I was going to say, I don't think you want to pluck Calvin closer to your ADC. But look at this. Ratmilk's on the main. Remember, he's got that blink. He could close gap and death scythe at any moment.
But this is not his moment. Ends up backing up. That'll leave HyperX with the lone impact early in this game. But as we've so often seen, first blood sometimes means you're not hanging back and farming. So Ratmilk at this pace should get that ultimate just slightly sooner than HyperX. Solo lane has been the target of some early ganks from both Ratmilk and HyperX. Chalk on one side, fine okay though. I mean, he's running it back on sort of the unique mage solo. Was a Baron early in this set. Now couple of Poseidon games. You would think that would maybe open the door to more ganks, but really it seems like Final K's played this one safe and kept himself out of trouble.
So far that's been the case. I mean, he only has Sands of Time, so it's not as if he has any tank stats to try and survive up against Aduin. Like the rotation in, good stun from HyperX, doesn't have the cage, but Awesome Jake has to find a way to pluck out. I don't think he even has time. Another kill onto the Croc, this time for Calvin. Really spreading the love. This over-aggressive from Awesome Jake is getting punished. And I think that Jake can play this aggressive if Ratmilk's on this side of the map, but there's no Thana here. Remember, he was over on right, so HyperX knew there's no chance of us getting hovering death. There's no chance of Ratmilk showing up. Let's just go, you know, as deep as we want to, and it ends up getting another kill onto the Sobek.
I've been baited by a couple early kills from Mockingbird already. So I'm saying good job, but I'm going to wait to see how these next few minutes roll out, because Borscht seemed to be a team that outside of game one of this set really pounce on their opportunities. Ratmilk with that hovering death could make it happen really at any moment. Hawk still has that Aegis over in mid, so you're going to have to try to pull some of that utility out here if you're Borscht. Charlie, a big focus as well, though, and especially for Mockingbird in game two, was how that roster in game two was constructed later in the game. Maybe have an opportunity, didn't really get there. Looks a bit different this game. Have Baron in support, Odin in the jungle, Chalk in solo. So some new picks. What state of the game do you think this Mockingbird composition really hits its peak? When do they want to make their moment?
I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, Dave. This is kind of where it starts, right? You've got Odin jungle, which means late game you're going to have that fall off. You've got the Chalk, which of course is still really unkillable and can burst squishies later on, but right now does do a fair bit of damage to a pick like Poseidon, or, you know, maybe even rotating out. So I don't hate if Mockingbird tries to get aggressive from now to like 20 minutes, right? Just try and push their lead as much as possible. This is the early game composition that I was really calling for. I'm watching HyperX though. He was deep in the back. Probably didn't get spotted out. Could be teleporting over, but at the very least, there is an Odin over in duo lane at the moment. You gotta look at the Phantom Shells. There are none, right? There's no way to get out of the cage if you're Pagon and Jake unless you jump over it or use the ultimate, which is just nice to have. Nice to know that you're not going to be worrying about any sort of relic being used.
Yep.
You just have to get those escapes down for the time being. HyperX really took the long con rotation. He's going to be losing a lot of farm for this, but they have to try and force out either Awesome Jake's ult or the jump from Pagon. Otherwise, it was really just a waste of time, and it looks like he goes back to base, so yeah, didn't even try to force it.
I was wondering if Ratmilk was going to step into lane, and suddenly an Odin out of nowhere was going to jump in and tilt that fight back. But no, Ratmilk has been fine, slowing down the pace yet again. By this point in game one, felt like Ratmilk had gone to every single lane, stacked up those kills. Last couple games, maybe a bit more patient with those ganks and where the kills should fall. Now Hawk and HyperX linked up with one another. Maybe considering an invade right back to left though. Go Mockingbird. This time it's Duduin. It'll be a Gold Fury pull. Pagon forced to jump away. Slow on the uptake though, or Borscht. That'll be a clean, easy, and quick Gold Fury for Mockingbird. A couple real unfortunate Gold Fury pulls in game 2. Felt like Mockingbird just couldn't quite finish off that objective. This one confirmed and equalizes this game at the 7-minute mark. Borscht had started to build up some of that farm lead.
And it's often when you're casting a game like this where you recognize, hey, they could pull gold right now, but they probably don't know that. Cracking a little bit early. Does Hawk have the damage to take it away? Yes, Chaos Team gets the control, and now here comes the Odin Cage.
Uh-oh, hovering death. There's Ratmilk, makes his mark for the first time in game 3. Could be a second as Aegis is out, and Final K takes it away. But Duduin, all the while, dealing damage to Baskin in the back of this fight. Life of the party, all that could slow down Ratmilk, who's forced to blink away. Lurking, ever lurking is Awesome Jake, who bursts forth from the waters, and Final K able to walk away from this engagement. So Mockingbird able to pull back a kill, but a couple good moments from Ratmilk and Final K. First 2 kills of the game for Borscht over on the left side.
And I thought that was going to be better.
Where's that right? Where are we?
We're on the right. Depends on where you're looking.
I was upside down.
Yeah.
You know,
Dave's doing a headstand, as you know. But HyperX had a good cage. I mean, it looked clean, but you have to watch out for the double execute composition here from Borscht. I mean, you don't see too many executes from Sobek, but Ratmilk's on point with them, man. When he sees that health threshold, he's not missing. And you got to watch out when you're Odin as well, because your shield doesn't count. If you're below the threshold, it doesn't matter if you pull out the shield. You are still in health threshold, and you can be killed. Now you're getting a kill over to Fino and Ratmilk here if you're Borscht. So far, they've been putting more presence on the right side of the map. At least Spud still has that lead, right? The duo lane is where they were trying to get the lead, and so far they have it. Gold Fury was able to go to them as well, so Mockingbird should still control that purple buff and, you know, sit around Pagon, try to make sure he doesn't get online. Because what's the conversation about on her? It's always that he gets outscaled by hunters like CERN once you get fully itemized.
Whoa, HyperX face first into a sight. He goes, and just no damage, no chance. But yes, there is, because Hawk burns through Baskin on the other side of the fight. Called a 1-for-1. It's actually going to get better here for Mockingbird. A rotate out from Duduin has swept Ratmilk to the side. These are not clean as we've come to expect from Borscht, and given Mockingbird a slight kill advantage in an all-important game 3.
Yeah, I didn't love the play from HyperX, but I do respect it because they recognized immediately there's no blink, and I've got a cage and a lightning storm. So as long as the ult goes down, we are guaranteed a kill onto at least Baskin. But Ratmilk ups downs and lands in the lightning storm again, and that may have been the oversight. Duduin eats a crack into the face. I don't even think the damage was shown there, but my goodness, Pagon was not happy about his speed buff being taken away. Tried to find that 1v1 potential. Regardless, Mockingbird is still putting that presence over towards left. Awesome Jake did not learn his lesson last time he was here, and once again, he's surrounded.
Has ultimate, but immediately gets canceled out and stunned. I mean, look at the mini-map. Holland is loading some on the left side of the map. I got my directions correct this time.
Nice.
We were on the left, right?
This time we are, yes.
We were on the
Yep, you got it.
left, right? Yeah.
Right.
Left.
Correct.
Awesome Jake. 0-3 now. Every once in a while, remember, we talked about how Jake has reined it in a little bit.
He's prone to a stinker. I believe that was the quote.
Prone to a stinker every once in a while. Was that Ryan who said that?
I believe
the word stinker really sounds like aggro.
It's been a minute for sure.
Been a minute, but Awesome Jake, 0-3, not a full-blown stinky one just yet, but the makings of something smelly in the early portions of Game 3. First 11 minutes, still some tankiness to build up, but that's largely been the target. Deep in the jungle of Mockingbird a couple of times now, has been caught out. And Ratmilk had started to build up a slight lead. HyperX has now been able to slow that down. And Shirley, that's going to bring us to the second Gold Fury of this game, you'd assume. Borscht kind of let that first one go. maybe in a much better spot to contest number 2.
And we've got a full-on grouping here from Borscht so far. HyperX isn't quite here, but they're trying to get the fight started immediately. Calvin already almost in that threshold, but the juke's out of sight.
Not just a scythe, and Life of the Party rolls through. That'll get an opening stun. And Ratmilk left running. Lands on top of Spud, but Spud has enough damage and health to survive on the backside of the fight. Calvin still lives, and Hawk deals out a double. Awesome Jake locked in the cage with HyperX. What has gone wrong for Borscht? Now your support, the latest and maybe last to fall here, should be a Fury call. But they're doing is chase down Pagon. It's all gone sideways for Borscht. Ratmilk, the only survivor. Mockingbird drop 4 members of Borscht.
Man, that did seem like a decent enough engage, but the fact that it all relied on getting Calvin into execute threshold, and he was able to backstep that death scythe means that Ratmilk goes up the sky with nothing, can't come back down and find any sort of kill. And so much value from Hawk. I mean, this Zeus is doing ridiculous amounts of damage. And I've been critical over this build from time and time again where you go this second item beads because it does really slow your DPS. But when the enemy team's dancing in the lightning storm, it doesn't really matter what you've built. And already Hawk has gotten past that and has a Divine Ruin online. So this Zeus has quickly become the biggest threat on the map. HyperX not quite in threshold yet and needs to get back to base before Ratmilk can go up to the sky because that was thin margins. I mean, the Krakens are hitting from Final K, but they don't quite have that burst to 100 to 0 just yet.
I'm trying to figure out how likely it is to get struck by lightning twice. Got to imagine it's a tiny, tiny percentage, but it's been happening time and time again to everyone on Borscht. Baskin, the latest to defy the odds. 0-4 now out of mid. I mean, we're talking about, I'll say it politely, a rough early game from Jake.
Yep.
Baskin has started to catch up in the rough category here. 0-4 on this Anubis, couple levels down. Middle of the map, support has just not looked good. Jake hoping to avoid taking the throne back. One more auto.
It was the Baron's
And a little
Brew.
bit of damage from the Baron's Brew. Gets it done. And Jake retakes the mantle of most deaths for Borscht here in game 3.
I mean, I can't, listen, you overstay for a buff once, you are getting aggressive. You overstay for a buff twice, you were getting in there, you know, I respect it. But this is the 4th time Jake's died at that exact invade. I feel like he's learned nothing, and now Pagon, he's in a little bit of trouble for it. Definitely caught out in the cage, doesn't have blink.
Nope.
And Spud will pick up another one. Man, I mean, I said I wanted Mockingbird to play through this duo lane, try and play through Spud. I didn't expect them to do it this hard. Like, Spud seems unstoppable at this point with the lead he's been able to build up for himself. This CERN absolutely cooking. Goes the second item shifter shield, which Bobby has said he is a big fan of. And it seems to be working out, right? You get a little bit tanky, you get some of that shred online with the braggies, and then you build into, I'm assuming, the executioner here. Regardless, he's ahead of Pagon, and Pagon can't really do anything over in that lane. They've got an 0-7 duo lane currently.
Yep. Man, Borscht, they've got an uphill battle here in game 3. If they end up losing this one, you're thinking long and hard about how game 1 went. Had a great opportunity to close out this set 0-2. Mockingbird has seemingly found their footing on the back of a game 2 win. Remember, really, it's a game 1 win. Borscht with the win in game 2, but regardless, have found their footing in the early game is really the point. Now at 15 minutes, maybe the first time Mockingbird have led all set long. Mid lane tier 2 falls. The rest of Borscht left wondering how they're going to defend. Duduin, tough to deal with, 3-0. Killing spree out of the soul lane. Tanking up the tower, that's just free for Ratmilk. A bit too much damage from the tower, and Mockingbird have lost their solo. They've immediately traded out a kill onto Awesome Jake for the 6th time this game. What really matters, that kill onto the tower. Mockingbird go 1 for 1, but open up the mid lane Phoenix.
Pagon jumps in, he's trying to find the chase. I did see that Pendulum Blade proc, so a chase down from Borscht is likely. Do they feel like Fire Giant's a possibility? This would be risky to try and go for here. Yeah, Pagon's posturing to the left, so I doubt it. An ambush is possible, though. No real ultimates available except for Desert Fury. No, they are doing it, Dave. They're trying to go for the Fire Giant here. This is immediately spotted out by Mockingbird. Everyone but Duduin can make it here.
Final K does not have the Kraken back, but remember, we've talked about how that Kraken doesn't have that full damage punch behind it. So yeah, it's a confirm utility, but far from a mid laner's Kraken confirm utility. So it started but dropped by Borscht. Ratmilk, I mean, half HP, still.
Are you using ults for this?
No ultimate. Is this a last-ditch effort from Borscht? Pluck finds its way onto Calvin. Fire Giant's low, and Final K has gotten it for Borscht. It is the Kraken at the end of the day. You might just have to trade out Jake. He'll Hex Stone and dash away. Seems safe enough. Baskin, though.
Gotta get
Let's
someone
a rat
here.
fly. Spud gets the root, and that's a kill. And Baskin accepts his fate. 1 for FG, and the door is now creaked back open for Borscht.
And when I saw the Desert Fury fly from Pagon, I didn't think they were going to be able to get it in time, and you've used your ultimates, but Mockingbird just could not get there. Final K was able to grab the confirmation. I think it's worth to lose Baskin there, because what you've done is you've stunted the snowball, you've stopped Mockingbird in their track. Sure, there's going to be a Gold Fury attempt, and it looks like it will go the way of Mockingbird. But now that gives you a solid, minute or two to just chill and say, okay, Mockingbird's not going to push us. We can get some farm, we can discuss where things are going wrong, and we can try and get some more clutch itemization, because currently there's a level 17 Zeus that we still don't really have answers for. I mean, Baskin's sitting at level 14. He's got 3 items to his name. Not the best. You can still find some damage, but with the beads active item here for Hawk, he actually has some decent magic prot as well against Baskin, against Fino, and against Awesome Jake. So this Zeus, not only is he doing incredible amounts of damage, he's slippery and he's relatively tanky in the grand scheme of things. But getting Fire Giant is sort of, it just reminds you to take a breather. You just got to win one game. This is one fight at a time. And so far, I've been noticing Calvin has been their target, right? They're trying to get this Baron into execute threshold. And twice now, Dave, it's been close, but not quite enough, which means Ratmilk preemptively goes into the sky, and he doesn't know who to go on. There's no easy reset to just go into.
I imagine Malvinas watching this game, hoping for a Borscht win. That would move Borscht to 2-0. 5M's also at 2-0, and that would be a real simple math equation between Malvinas and Mockingbird tomorrow. Kraken onto Hawk. Could this be your answer? Whoa, Baskin in the Lightning Storm. Hawk on a fadeaway. I'm not sure he realized what was happening. Snags a kill. Mid laners both taken down by the opposing team. Awesome Jake finally with a kill on board. Gets rid of that 0 in the kill column. Hoping to avoid the 7 in the death column. Final K, and with the rest of his team on the fight, up goes the hovering death. Is there a target? Yes, just for a stun. Spud, stunned and burned by Ratmilk. Pagon and Final K. Now there's an up down from Duduin as well. Herok slips one back, but Borscht from the brink have now blown game 3 wide open. And Trelly, those death timers, they're long, but you don't have Baskin, you don't have Pagon. If anything, this is an equalizer, and it's a deicide for Borscht at 20 minutes.
Yeah, the triple kill for Ratmilk puts him at level 18 now. This Thana has been able to find those death sites. Turns out you don't need to just execute Calvin. You can just hit your damage on just about everyone else. Borscht, in a last-ditch Fire Giant pull, ends up getting so much from it. I really thought this was going to be get Fire Giant and then sort of chill and defend, but they were able to get super aggressive with it, all off of the pick onto Hawk, right? Without Zeus, there wasn't that big burst damage, that AoE to worry about, and that fight just goes so much cleaner for them. Sure, Baskin's falling a bit behind, Pagon's falling a bit behind, but there's meaningful power spikes in there. Like, Pagon's got Xeonkins, and Baskin's got Totem, and he's got some int online. That's all you really need for both of these characters. You're going to get outscaled, of course, damage-wise by Spud and Hawk, but these tankier targets are going to get, a little bit fearful of your damage, and that's all you're really counting on at this point. There's still a lot of towers for Borscht to try and go through here. They've got the tier 1 and the tier 2 over on left and a tier 2 on right. But Mockingbird, you got to consider they're a little bit upset the way things have sort of turned, right? That one Fire Giant play that they maybe could have made it 2 quicker has now just made their lead non-existent.
How will things stand on this next FG? The original one has either been killed or just fallen off of Borscht. Lead just about equalized here. Ever so slight for Borscht after what was 4,000 for Mockingbird, but the story has changed. Not a must-win game 3 for either team, but your life is a whole lot easier if you do. All but confirmed to be going to Vegas if Borscht find a win, and a much easier avenue if Mockingbird are able to stave off defeat after falling to 5 hams yesterday. Fire Giant, more aggressive positioning from Mockingbird. Borscht forced back in their own side of the jungle. Easier to do so when Awesome Jake has overextended at points. Normally you're terrified of a Sobek. You got a Hex Stone, a Dash, and a Cleanse. It's not going to slow down Awesome Jake, though. Ever forward, ever present. Looking for that one all-important pluck, and keep your eyes on Hawk. The positioning of this Zeus. We're going to get a pull before a fight. Are we looking for a pick? The players can let us know.
I mean, I think that Jake would be the one to open up this fight, but you can tell HyperX is also trying to find a meaningful cage. The Duin isn't too fearful, just stepping forward here.
Oh, it's got some damage.
He eats the death sight, goes into the ultimate.
Double knockup. That's right into the Kraken, life of the party. It's going to pull in one. Awesome Jake has thrown everything at the wall, and none of it is stuck. There's still an up-down from Radmilk on the insta-delete. We've gone 1 for 1 over by the FG pit. And now Duin somehow has lived on the front line. Borscht do not like what they see, have not liked it from the start. They'll snag 1 kill, but they have lost their jungler and their support in the meantime. But Mockingbird not healthy enough to stick around either.
No, I think that's going to be a double down for the time being. And I'm going to give Jake a little bit of props there. He did use the Hex Stone to get close, pop the beads to make sure FineOK didn't get life of the party, and then ate the ultimate for him. So that was Jake giving his life, or maybe a little bit of mispositioning by FineOK. He didn't have the blink. Now he has it up in 5 seconds. Mockingbird need to make a play happen here while they have the 1-man advantage, and they're doing just that. Fire Giant started up. Jake just now spawned in, and here comes FineOK.
FineOK has Runic Bomb, Pyromancer Bomb, and a Kraken if he can get in range. I'm not sure he's going to be able to do so. You've got to walk through.
There it is.
Blinks forward, drops the Kraken, drops the bomb, and drops the FG. It's stolen away by the Borscht solo laner, but trades out his life in exchange. Mockingbird still have 5, but they don't have Fire Giant. There's an Ancient Fury standing on the left side of the map, and that may have to be the consolation prize.
That is big from FineOK. Use the Kraken. They said, oh, that's the worst of our worries, it's gone. But as you called out, Dave, the Runic Bomb, the one, everything comes through just to make sure Fire Giant goes the way of Borscht. Now, it doesn't go to Ratmilk, he was still dead, but Awesome Jake, Baskin, and Pagon all have that buff. Don't want to stick up too far if you're Ratmilk, though. You've went extremely damage-oriented, and Hawk still has that DPS to just burst down really anyone who gets caught in the Odin cage. Ancient Fury on mid-bird and 2 tier 2, so these are going to go down relatively easy. And FineOK spawned in here in 3 seconds, so Mockingbird's not going to want to go underneath any sort of structure for the time being. They're just going to run away as Jake sort of watches from the grass.
There's something just scary about Jake standing in a bush and staring. You know what I mean? Like, and only we can see it, but you just never know if that's the moment where he says, all right, I'm going in. Yeah, like, nobody else is with him, or he's just going to let the moment pass. You just never really know.
You are right.
And in this moment, Jake lets the moment pass, realizing that it was not the time to flip the coin, especially not without the purification there. Would have been tough to get out alive. Don't have to use your ultimate for escape every time.
You got to give props to Jake, though, because
Absolutely.
Bro's 1-7.
Absolutely.
And he's 2 levels up on Calvin, who's 1-1. He's been alive the whole game, and Calvin can't find that level of farm. 3 Gold Furies.
Yep. Gonna say, the 10-kill lead is it's effectively onto Jake, and a lot onto Baskin. But what does it matter if Jake is gonna keep doing what he wants to anyway? I mean, a 10-kill lead, but a 0 gold lead for either team. An all-important game 3. The Fire Giant acting right now as more of a delay tool. What happened to Calvin? Calvin is low. Got poked out and an ultimate from Duin. Oh man, a hovering death. Radmilk may have the opening kill in this fight with the blink. Well-timed. Calvin avoids the onslaught. Double Kraken from FineOK. Hands it over to Radmilk. Oh, but back in goes Spud. Hello on the blink. And goodbye to Baskin. Borscht, though, cleans up their second of the fight. Mid lane and solo dealt with. Borscht, though, has stood tall, that 1-man advantage. What difference does it make? Spud on the reinitiation makes all the difference.
And they are throwing haymakers back and forth. FineOK with a huge crack in there for his team. Mid-tier 2 is the target. Fire Giant still available for about 70 more seconds. HyperX hasn't found farm since I've been paying attention. He's been level 16 for the past 5 minutes, and he's only level 17 now. Just take some time, hit level 20, get your upgraded starter. This Odin still has some power spikes to go, but there's already a big fall off. you need to get a little bit of that XP before it becomes official. Looks like Borscht isn't really interested in getting caught in any more damage. They're going to back up. Fine, okay. We'll take the tier 2 over on right. But man, I mean, Mockingbird, they've got some positives to lean on here, but so far, the fights have been pretty much leaning heavily towards Borscht, right? Like Rat Milk is just being able to find.
Did you see what happened to
No,
I don't know what all that poke was from.
Yeah,
I mean,
Baskin was able to hit a wrap onto Deduin twice, but Calvin, I think, just ate too much poke damage. Must have been from Fino and.
It wasn't even really a fight. It was just an execute from Rat Milk.
Yep.
But he blinked away, right? Avoided the insta execute, and there was the fight on the other end of it.
Yep.
Man, thinnest of margins, again. I mean, honestly, the favorite's got to be Borscht in this matchup. They were talking about feeling good, fighting for the 1 seed. If you're 5Ms, I mean, you still got a game to play tomorrow. But based on the competition that they've seen, maybe not feeling terrible about their chances at grabbing the 1 seed and having Sunday off. All eyes towards Vegas, just a few weeks from then. How many weeks from now? Are we like 3 or 4 weeks from? No.
I mean, we start the 17th, right?
Yeah, and Christmas is 2 weeks from now, which is scary. Buy your gifts if you haven't yet. This one a gift for all of us, though. This game 3, man, we are on the sprint towards Vegas.
Yep.
Long summer of qualifications. No team officially moved
Pagon.
on.
Does he know they're behind him?
But you get a good chance. You're able to grab a second win. Borscht could do so if you're able to find a win here over Mockingbird. Duduin sends
They're
out
walking
his
over
axe.
wards.
Out he
They know.
goes. Borscht and Mockingbird locked in a struggle here in game 3. Yeah, this not a secret. If Mockingbird are looking for one final fight, could it be this moment?
I think so. I mean, they walked over wards.
Whoa,
Fino's
Fino.
going to walk into this.
But he's alone.
Isn't
They
the
lock
cage
in,
blinks
Fino
out?
okay. All right.
But now Deduin, can he be in threshold?
Oh, man.
He doesn't even need it.
Duduin is the only solo laner who dies. It was the same situation for both, but it's only the Mockingbird solo who dies. But now there's a chase brewing. Borscht,
they're in trouble.
Smell blood in the water. Jake forward. Rat Milk up. Mockingbird have fought handedly here in game 3, but Borscht find their opening. Rat Milk gets out some damage. Hawk does so as well. Fine, okay. Starts to drop the dominoes. It's still the carries for Mockingbird, though. Can they turn and burn? They're going to turn their eyes towards the Poseidon, but an up-down from Pagon may just seal it. A double kill from Hawk has kept Mockingbird in this game, but Borscht have roared back on the back of a Fire Giant steal from Fino. Duduin's up in 13. 3 Phoenixes still around. In Borscht, they don't have Pagon. It's not going to be a game end, but it'll be a fight win and a DSI.
Man, you got to be playing clutch out of your mind, though, if you're Hawk. He hit the Chain Lightning to guarantee one more die. This would be a free Fire Giant if he didn't hit it. With Death Gaze, can Deduin get here in time? I think Trident may be able to knock this down before the chalk shows up, but it will be close. There's a Runic Bomb only for Rat Milk. Okay, Kraken. It's still thin margins. Yes! Okay, we're good.
We're getting range.
Yep, but it's only on them two. It's only on Fino and Baskin.
And unless, I'm talking about chisels turning into unless things have changed, still not enhanced Fire Giant, right? We're a few seconds away from that. So it's a Fire Giant on 2, but the momentum in recent memory here, Trelly, for Borscht against Mockingbird, despite what the kills may tell you.
Well, Dave, we're back to the drawing board. That's what I see.
Have you ever stood at a drawing board?
I really haven't. I've stood at an easel. Is a drawing board something different?
That's close. I would give you credit for standing at an easel.
But I'm just saying, like, what is even a drawing board? Just a board at which one draws as opposed to paint.
It's the Charlie Day meme where he's got the strings.
Oh, okay, okay. Then yes, I've never stood at a drawing board, but that is where we are currently because all Phoenixes stand. 2 tier 2s for both squads. Fire Giant on only Fino K and Baskin, and just sending out as much as possible. Rat Milk is still holding. Oh my goodness, 3-man Kraken. Not a lot coming through, but Fino K is gonna get stunned here unless he has the beads. Well timed.
Uses man, every fight carries an implication. It's awesome. Jake alone with everyone from Mockingbird. Baskin has sent out a beam of damage, and look who's been left alone. It's Duduin, but he's got the opening kill alongside Hawk. Where's the up-down? Rat Milk hasn't hit Paydirt with his ultimate. In fact, he's alone in the back. Pagon has sent some damage right back out. HyperX and Mockingbird, though, Trelly, they've still got something in this fight.
Can the pluck come through? It absolutely does. HyperX is in some trouble, but fine, okay, wants the chase down. Spud, can you help, or are you just going to teleport out? Finally, HyperX goes down, but now Spud's in some trouble. Is he just going to keep doing DPS? He might be in some trouble, too, if the pluck comes through.
He could kill off one, but he can't kill off 2 or 3 here. Spud in the whirlpool. Fine, okay, on the killing spree, and it's just Calvin left on defense.
29 seconds for Hawk and to do, and the wave should be coming in any second now. Calvin does have the ultimate, but Final Case full HP here. 1 pick, and this could be the end call here, Dave. You got to play perfectly if you're Calvin. Try and kill Pagon, try and kill Awesome Jake, but the Titan needs to stand tall if you're Mockingbird.
An insane 3-game set between Borscht and Mockingbird.
They're back. They're back.
And we will go one more at least, as Mockingbird live to fight another day.
And Hawk, the doing. Luckily, those respawn timers were clean. I mean, that could have went a whole of a lot worse, Dave. You had Rat Milk in the sky. Spud was definitely in execute threshold. Maybe he blinked it, maybe it didn't land. Regardless, lived way too long. I think Hawk has been able to consistently take out 1 to 2 every single team fight. If Hawk is ever not on point, this game is over. Like, they are reliant on the picks that Zeus has been able to grab. And so far, he has been on point and doing his job. Baskin has just been death gazing and dying. Like, I'm going to get off as much damage as I can before I get blown up by the Zeus damage. And it is not easy to try and position this late in the game when just about everyone, if they catch you in the right moment, can find a kill. Fine, okay. Once again, should end up in a cage. Where's the damage, though? He doesn't have Blink? Yes, he does.
Doing on a slight miss. Awesome Jake lurking in the waters. It's the life of the party. Out from Calvin. Jake alone with everyone on Mockingbird. That'll be the opening kill. Gotta be of this fight. Spud finds the first. And Rat Milk, unhappy with his options, will end up taking his ult back.
Yeah, wasting that hovering death is a big deal. Remember, Final K already used the Kraken as well. Pyromancer is going to be the target, but Borscht is stepping up as if they want to try and fight this. Even 4v5, having that level of confidence is a bit ridiculous. HyperX gets the Pyromancer. They're walking over wards here, Dave, but these are green wards, so Borscht, only one who has the vision so far. Look how far up they are, Mockingbird. They're still so scared.
Does HyperX have a spear? Whoa, won't even get to use it because he's got to get out of the fight. Baskin, though, has left himself right in front of everyone on Mockingbird. Should join his teammate. No, he won't. He'll live. And Mockingbird just short on the damage to kill off the Anubis.
That is insane. Baskin, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, did everything wrong as far as where to walk, but there was not the chase down potential because the rest of Borscht were sort of zoning with presence alone. Just saying, hey, if you step up and you get close, we could just kill you in an instant. The game is bouncing on a knife's edge. Despite the fact that the gold is still so heavily in favor of Borscht, we've gotten to the point where it's just really 3K pots are the difference maker. Yep. HyperX is almost full build. Calvin is almost full build. Doing almost full build. You know what? Okay, it's not really bouncing on a knife's edge. They still need 6 items. Would that be the difference maker? If you see a little bit more damage from Doing, a little bit more tank stats from HyperX, and a little bit more tank stats from Calvin. Regardless, that's 2 fights in a row where Rat Milk has not been able to find and execute, and that has changed things here for Borscht. It seems like they are still, whereas Hawk is so reliant for Mockingbird, Rat Milk needs to find these hovering death kills. If not, the fight looks a lot worse for Borscht.
Around we'll go. Fire Giant one more time. We think. Maybe just one more time. Borscht have stamped themselves in this map for the longest time. Doing was ahead on the damage charts. Hawk has started to pick up just a little bit further. I've been out of the game a little bit too long. I need an herbal tea. You're on day 2. I'm on day 1.
You're on day 1.
God bless.
And it's over.
Yeah,
we've lost him.
Yeah, see you guys.
All right.
I guess I need a few weeks to recover.
Well,
that's more on me. You know, Ryan is here in studio. And he's yelling at me to speak for my diaphragm. I can hear it already. I'll be all right. Get a little tea in me and we'll be A-okay. Awesome Jake. Early ultimate. Sobek. That's now down. Pagon getting his ultimate back here soon. Borscht just doing this FG too quickly unless Mockingbird steal it away. Sure don't. But maybe a fight after the fact. Remember, Jake doesn't have ultimate here. He's alone with Mockingbird. And that'll give an early kill over to Hawk. Rat Milk has used his as well. No ultimates left for Borscht. Only Duduin has his for Mockingbird. Could it be a difference maker? A stun out, a silence. HyperX unhappy with his prospects here. They'll watch Borscht walk away with that FG.
I mean, if HyperX gets the stun there, we could be talking about GG, but I believe that left side Phoenix does have a fire wave pouring in as we speak, so had to get over there quickly to keep it alive. Good timing there from Spud. Knew exactly where to go, but as you said, Fire Giant does go the way of Borscht this time, only on 4, because Awesome Jake falls down. Pagon and Final K the whole time Borscht is here. They just do everything so quickly now. I mean, that really wasn't that much time alone with Fire Giant, but when you're 36 minutes in the game and everyone's got full build, you're not going to be able to walk up to Fire Giant a little bit late. It just won't happen. You have plenty of time to just shred through that objective for free and then go ahead and back off. I mean, Mockingbird can sit here and look for an ambush. I wouldn't hate this call if they can just go into a grass and just sort of wait to see who steps forward. But time and time again, Dave, they've been looking at Hawk. They've been looking at, you know, trying to find Fino K, but he just blinks out. That's how long away these engagements have been. 240-second difference between when Fino K gets caught out and when he doesn't. Here it is, though. Who's going to walk up? They all walk towards mid. I don't know if you can even set up an ambush here because it's going to take you so long to chase them down. I mean, Borscht is a fast team. If Poseidon's your guy, they're going to eventually turn around and find you.
So who will it be? The one with a toe out of line. The one who maybe ends things here in Game 3. A lot of pressure on an early weekend game. Makes all the difference, though, in your prospects later on this weekend. Mockingbird now on the defensive. Aggressive from Borscht. Stepping forward. They still got 4 FGs, remember. Up, down, stun, all of it onto HyperX. He gets out alive. Fino K does as well. The front line healthy enough at this point. Awesome Jake out of his ultimate. And Calvin jumped on by Ratmilk and Trelly. That could be the difference maker over on this defense.
Awesome Jake already plucked in, but Mockingbird standing tall. The only ultimate they have is the Duins. And remember, Fire Giant is still available here for Borscht. Doesn't seem like they really want to leave. But they have weakened Phoenixes on left and right. Remember, they have the Ancient Fury to try and play with as well. So going for mid-bird doesn't really make a lot of sense. But if you wait too long, you let Lightning Storm come back. You let the Odin Cage come back, and that could be disastrous here for Borscht. You got to go in quickly, but honestly, those ultimates might already be back up by the time you decide to go in. Good chain lightning, and here comes HyperX.
Here we go. Maybe the last fight of the game. Fino K locked in the cage. Damage not in yet. No, it's not there, but HyperX has it for Fino. Pagon in the back has thrown a couple of spears out and picked up one for himself. Suddenly, Borscht with a second wind in this engagement. Still waiting on Calvin to respawn, but now Baskin and Fino K a minute on their respawns. Everything even still here in game number 3 as we cross the 40-minute mark. 6 Phoenixes still on the map, 0 towers across the board.
And once again, I stand in front of my board. Not drawing, just thinking. What is it going to be that finally breaks this game open? Because everything that's been thrown at the wall here, Dave, has been thrown. We've seen an attempt on finding the execute on a Calvin. We've seen a grouping in the grass. We've seen just a Fire Giant pull a 50-50. They've tried just about everything. Maybe it's the staff of Mirrodin from Awesome Jake, right? Like a double pluck.
Gotta be.
Maybe it's the fact that Fino K has an elixir of strength because he already got his elixir of intelligence, so his auto attacks are going to be doing a little bit more damage. At this point, we're just buying 3K pots because there's nothing else to spend gold on, right? Like you don't need any more itemization, you don't need any more ward coverage because you can only have so much. But Mockingbird, unfortunately for them, something that I alluded to is that this Odin was gonna reach the breaking point, right? HyperX is a CC bot. That is his idea. He has to find cages, he has to find stuns. He's not going to be the guy that takes away a team fight like Ratmilk. That is Hawk, that is Spud. See the grouping, Fire Giant spawns in 20. Already ward coverage is here, and Awesome Jake leads the charge. He wants a pluck, but he also has to watch out. Uses the Xerxes Hexstone to reposition, didn't like that route. Had to go ahead and back up. That's a long cooldown, about 80 seconds before he's going to be able to use that movement again. And you can see beads are going to come up from HyperX in about 10 seconds, so that might be the opening to try and force something. Fire Giant started up. Fine, okay, he sees this though, and Pagon's close behind.
Fino K has stolen away a Fire Giant already this game. Could happen again. Pagon sends plenty of damage towards Calvin. Kraken connects onto HyperX. He'll be okay as they'll bring death. Gonna open up this fight. I'm not sure HyperX still has the jump, doesn't. Ratmilk with the first, Pagon with the second. The front line, an afterthought for Mockingbird. Suddenly Borscht have the wind in their sails and a double kill for Pagon. The last breath for Duduin does flip a kill onto Ratmilk. He goes back in, but he will fall as well. Borscht able to get it done in game number 3.
Finally, we saw the opening. Hawk gets plucked back in by awesome Jake. Fine, okay. Thought he was in a bit of trouble, but the execute on to HyperX was really the nail in the coffin. Spud against 4. He's got plenty of damage, but I think the Titan would drop before he was able to really burn through any of these health bars. They're playing it slow, though. I gotta respect Borscht. When you're 41 minutes into the game and you don't just dogpile onto the Titan here, you're giving a little bit of respect to Spud, but one more pluck should do it.
Wow.
GG.
You're telling me Jake goes 3-10, Baskin goes 2-9, and you still win? That's crazy. That opens up some opportunities for our games tomorrow. Borscht now 2-0, 5Ms 2-0. Mockingbird now falls to 0-2. So Malvinas and their matchup becomes a win and in for Vegas. Keep your eyes on our first set of the day tomorrow, Trelly. But game number 3 has a little bit of everything. Think back to the Fire Giant steal from Fine OK.
Yep.
I kind of flipped this game around.
It certainly did. I mean, he blinks in, Kraken drops the runic bomb, and he says, I'm going all in for this steal attempt. And there were so many times where Fine OK was just too slippery, right? He was the target in a lot of these engagements, but just barely got the blink off, was able to escape the cage, juke some CC, and get out of trouble time and time again. I mean, there was a couple moments where if Fine OK died, if Ratmilk got picked off, if Hawk got one more detonate, we could have been talking about a different outcome to this game. But we didn't, because you know what? Borscht had a lot of clutch moments, and again, you gotta give props to Jake when he plays so overly aggressive, gets punished constantly, but still is able to stay farmed and make plays for his team. Like he's doing his job at the end of the day. Like maybe a little bit too good at times, but he got the job done.
That's why you can't call it a stinker too early on. You got to give Jake some time to cook. Ends up turning
Spray
around.
some air freshener.
Yeah, poopery in the player booth over there to get things going. Borscht get it done. They move to 2-0 here in their group. See what the desk has to say about game number 3. Bye.
He broke the Bye. Fine, okay. That's what I was going to say when we came into this. I feel like there's a lot to talk about. Ratmilk had a really big ult at the very end there after a couple, I want to say forced by Mockingbird. That really couldn't fall through. Not really forced. He was trying to execute, and then the fight didn't go the way he wanted it to. But Fine OK, with the steal and with a whole lot of other stuff, really does make sure that game doesn't slip out of hand for him. I think that steal, though, was pretty important, right? It's the difference between, hey, Mockingbird are like just gonna win now, and oh, Borscht is back in this game.
Yeah, I think Fine OK is 100% the person to highlight. I mean, look at the gold. I think it's always interesting to see where the gold is at, because it just shows who's been doing kind of just the most effectiveness through the entire game, whether it's farming, fighting, whatever it is. I mean, Ratmilk and Fine OK, really those are the two that I could just rant about this entire time, because they played, I mean, phenomenal. Maybe a misplay here or there by Ratmilk, but I really think Fine OK played a near perfect Poseidon game here. The steals were phenomenal. His team fights were great. Even when his team was losing fights, Fine OK would be there to kind of put on a performance in that fight to bring his team back into it. And as you said, I mean, Ratmilk was maybe going in a little early sometimes, wasn't able to find those ultimates. Maybe they weren't used as perfectly as you can. And then, as so eloquently put by Dave and Trelly, Jake had a few maybe misplays. Fine OK was always there to clean it up, and it was just an all-out, just great game by Fine OK.
Yeah, when you have players and you know, Jake's going 3-10. There was a lot of aggressive positioning, and we've seen this in the past, right? Where sometimes
a lot
you go 3-10 and it's
by me.
It doesn't make it. At least you said it. You go 3-10 and it's like, okay, you know what? You've died a lot, but your team's kind of reaping the benefits. Where you know, we've mentioned this with Sobek, but like, guess what? When you pluck, like, you're just there now. Like,
you're in.
If you grabbed the one guy and he was alone, then that's free for your team. If you grab the one guy and the 4 others are staring at you, now you're in his position. You're a little tanky. Maybe you can hold on. The same thing was kind of there. We saw a lot of DPS from the Anubis, but maybe not the kills coming out from the Anubis.
Yeah.
And so it does feel like, Rat Milk, Fine OK, Pagon, to an extent as well, being able to kind of help clean up after the fact, after those two go in and get the job done and then die.
Yeah.
They were just like, all right, cool. We're the martyrdom perk, right? We're going to come in and make sure things go our way.
Yeah, and sometimes all you really need to do is just get fights started. And Sobek does that really well. You said you hit the pluck, you pluck one person. A lot of the times he wasn't plucking Hawk, and Hawk's the one that's turning onto him. It happens, but as you said, a lot of damage was coming through from Anubis, from Poseidon, Thana, all of that. And all around, a couple misplays by Borscht here or there. All around, still a good set by them.
Oh, yeah. I would say the most exciting game we've had so far this weekend. And depending, we might remain that. It's going to at least hold on to the crown for now. It was just really, really fun to watch from the top to the bottom. But it also gives us some really interesting standing implications, both for first out of this region and, I guess, for who actually makes it out of this region. So there's a little bit of maybe pressure still remaining despite getting that guaranteed stamp.
Yeah, and as you said, tomorrow is now even more exciting. We get the 2-0s. We get to see who's really going to be coming through with that.
Well, the good news is I'm sure they're feeling pretty good about getting this win, but you don't have to take it from me. We've got, I believe it's Baskin standing over there ready for an interview.
That's right. Baskin alongside me. Baskin, is the overall vibe happy to get the win? I mean, game 1, dominant performance, fall a bit short there towards the end. Game 3, it's a little rough early, but you end up coming back to win things. Overall team vibe with the game 3 win here for the boys.
I would say the vibes are pretty high. Yeah, I think we could have had a 2-0. We kind of threw game 1, but there's also some sort of like satisfaction in having like a hard-fought 3-game set and also winning 2. So, yeah,
of course,
good vibes either way.
Seems like Rat Milk is just going to keep playing that Thanatos. Is that a plug-in play into most compositions for you guys? Is that just a player playing the right pick at the right time? What's the strategy behind the jungle pick?
Yeah, I mean both those reasons, but also there's like 4 jungle picks, and one of them's usually banned, and the other one's picked, so it's like 50-50. So yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Game 3, I'm looking at Jake. Tough start there in that game. You're getting piled on over in the mid lane. What's the communication like when the early game goes that way? How do you guys kind of solidify that mental for the late game?
Well, if you had a peek into any of our scrims, that is actually probably a better early game than average for us. So
great.
Yeah, we've had a lot of practice, dying. So on game day when we die, it's no big deal. Just another one in the death column, like.
That's we've got them right where we want them.
Oh, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Guys. Yeah. Well, excited to see what you guys get done. Officially into Vegas now. If my numbers are all crunched, you guys have a couple of wins, so does 5Ms. And so that'll open up a matchup for first seed for you guys tomorrow. Excited for that one. Baskin, appreciate the time. Desk, take it away.
He's got it right on the money, right? When you've got 2 teams that are 2-0 and the others that are 0-2, no one's taking your spot. You're good. At least no one's knocking you out of the top 3 guaranteed. Someone might take your spot in trying to fight for first. And guess what? We'll find out who is the first seed last set for Group A tomorrow. So I think that'll be, 1 p.m.-ish, 12:30 if the first set doesn't go super long. But the one that goes on before it, that 11 a.m., which you'll see in a second here, has a lot of implications behind it. Because while that one goes 3, and we've talked a lot about plus-minus, that is your, third, fourth different tiebreaker, right?
Yeah.
The very first thing is just what's the win-loss in the columns. You have a set win, do you not have a set win? Then it's a head-to-head. And guess what? When we look at the schedule and the standings, the 2 that are at the bottom are the 2 that have yet to play. So whoever wins tomorrow will be 1-2. Whoever loses will be 0-3. So that, much like Dave said, is win and you're in between Mockingbird and Malvinas. So that is a very, very important set tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. And then the set following that will determine first seed. And again, first seed gets a bye round for the first round, which means, in this case, not playing on Sunday, which is one big deal. But also, you get to just kind of hang out and wait until Vegas. Probably still be watching the games on Sunday to see what's going on. But a lot of practice time, prep time, and a little bit of downtime for the holiday for you between there. So first seed and a last seed implication tomorrow, and all of it here in Group A. Now, that's just one of the 2 groups. There's a lot of pressure, I think, sitting on those bottom 2 teams, but Inbound, we still have more to come. This is only half the
This
day
is
so
Group
far.
A.
That's absolutely crazy. We've only done half of the games so far just today with a 2-1 win for Borscht. Yeah, that's right. We got Group B going on tomorrow as well. And it is going to be a very fun one. Well, I say tomorrow as well. Today as well. We've got them going on right now. Team Risk versus Los Lille. Again, if you're looking at it, Team Risk, maybe surprising everybody in the wrong way, and that they came out with a lost smoke break doing it in the right way, getting themselves an early win. And wow, we get to watch Food Drive for Globe versus Smoke Break later. That's going to be an amazing, amazing set to tune into. But these are some very important ones. Los Lille, if you're looking at it, Team Risk, one of you is coming out 1-1, the other one's coming out 0-2. That is dangerous territory. If it's Team Risk, then you're looking at, a Food Drive for Globe must win tomorrow. If you're Los Lille, you're looking at a smoke break must win tomorrow, and that's not a position I'd want to be even if I were either of them, but this is going to be, I think, a very spicy matchup for it. I'm wondering what kind of differences we're going to see from yesterday for that.
Yeah, and we talk about it all the time, the meta developing through the entire tournament. These teams are now both 0-1, Los Lille, Team Risk. These are the teams that lost yesterday. They're going to be competing again next. It's how are you changing up what you thought was the meta last time?
Yeah.
Team Risk has said multiple times, we're coming in with our idea of what we think the meta is. They lost 2-0'd. What does that mean? Their meta is changing? Same thing with Los Lille. They came in, they lost. How is their meta going to be changing? They also got to watch a couple more games today. Does that shift anything with their meta? Gore, this is going to be a great Group B games today. I'm just excited to see who's going to be kind of taking that leap forward, because you're starting 1-0, you get to that 2-0 slot, you're in.
Yeah, this is, again, very, very important for a few of these teams. And the fact that Group A just went the way that it did, and that there's so much weight on sets tomorrow for them, now has me really excited, because I feel like some of these have a lot of weight on them right now. We'll see how it is for Group B, though, right at the other end of this quick break.